Welcome back to another episode of Cardboard Hands, everyone. We are back again with our hosts, retrospects, and the special rotating guest host here, filling in for Flex Gods. As some of you may have known, we have a small YouTube channel in our midst. You know, a little. We like to bring on the smaller guys on these larger channels to give them a chance to grow once in a while. So we brought on a new face, someone you may or may not have seen or known in the Pokemon investing sphere. PK, Pokemon knowledge. Oh yeah, Pokemon knowledge. That's what it is. PK, how's it going, man? Just all jokes aside, welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming in here. We
Yeah,
appreciate
guys,
you.
thanks for having me on. I'm a little upset. I've been trying to get a one-on-one, like with both you guys, or with both you guys and Flex Gods for a while. So I'm a little bummed out. I've talked to both you guys in the past. I've never talked to Flex Gods, but listen, I'm a huge fan of this podcast you guys have going on. It's every single episode you guys put out is just fantastic. And yeah, I've been on your channel before, Josh, so I'm happy you brought me on for the second time because I was on one of your trainer spotlight series. So if anybody's curious about a little bit of my backstory, if you're not familiar with me, check out Josh's channel, one of his trainer spotlights. It just tells you all about my backstory. So, but yeah,
I'm
thanks
very
for having me
thankful
on.
I started that whole thing because it's one of the few things like these podcasts, they get good views and stuff the week, the month of the podcast, but like it falls off after it goes out of date. Those trainer spotlights, like with the different people that I have on, are really timeless. And if they get views long, long after the fact, you know, people will come to my channel and they'll just view like an Echo Based Collectibles or a PK. Yours is very popular. But especially after you put out like a really banger video or something, I see a lot of like traffic coming because it's like they're just, you know, talking about you as a collector. It's not about the market. It's really supposed to be timeless. So yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate you way back then coming on. I think that was right after the whole Leonhardt pop shop, wasn't it? That was when the first appearance on the channel happened.
Yeah, that was right around that timeline. So,
Yeah. But yeah, thank you again. We, of course, so for those who are wondering, we is not unable to be here this week. Listen, you guys got to reach out to we if you want to know what's going on with him. He is still available. He's still in the hobby, but I didn't want to delay the podcast too much, and he said to go ahead and shoot it. And so I can't speak for the man, but he's alive. He is well. He is hustling
Man
and
is
making bigger
hustling.
deals.
He's
Dude,
hustling.
this guy, man, I wish he would just show some of the shit that he shows us in our like our Discord or not the private chat we have for the podcast to his YouTube or Instagram or something because that's what people have been wanting to see. But man, but how have you guys been? All right, enough about we, the guy who isn't here. All right, go reach out to him if you guys want to see him. We love you. You know, we'll see you on the next podcast. But PK, how have you been, man? And I know there's a lot going on in your life. And Retro, I got a bone to pick with you too about your channel. So we're gonna get to you soon. But this man over here, you just had a big life milestone. So what's going on with you, buddy?
yeah, man, me and my wife, we had our second child, so that was a exciting day, and it was just the only way I could equate it is to being very tired because we have our firstborn at home. He just turned 2, so he's running around being crazy, and then you still have the newborn, and the newborn only wants to sleep during the day and be wide awake all night. So that's what we've been going through right now. And then I took about a week off from making content, and it felt like an eternity to me. For me to not make a week's worth of content, like I'm sure you guys are familiar with my channel. Like I put out videos a few times a week, and it could be an hour plus just trying to me kind of a lot of my videos are me just trying to like rationalize the thoughts that are going through my head and kind of try to vocalize them the best I can. Sometimes it gets a little rambly, but yeah, man, that's what's been going on in my life. So
Well, congratulations, man.
thank you.
Seriously. Yeah, that's like a huge deal, and I'm really happy for you. And I'm glad it went smoothly too. So,
Yeah, thank you, man.
congrats to
Appreciate
that.
that.
Number two as well. So that's big. Like a lot of people, I'm not even number one. You're on number two. That's crazy.
Two and done. That's it.
Congratulations too.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So you though, Retro, down below, I got a bone to pick with you, my friend. A lot of people have been asking, a lot of people have been asking, and I've been wondering myself, what's going on with your YouTube channel, buddy? Like I just saw the other day, there's literally nothing there anymore. Did YouTube come in and like pick and take your videos, said this one's way too much sauce, or did you like make a paywall, a private paywall or something? You finally start the Discord or the Patreon. What's going on with your channel, buddy? Why is all the videos gone?
Team Rocket Discord coming at some point, but no, I'll be back at some point. I just felt like the quality wasn't really there. I wasn't being consistent with it. And yeah, I just been busy, so I wanna, if I'm gonna do it, I want to make sure that I'm doing it right, and providing like value to people and like providing something consistent. You know, like I've watched pretty much all the people that I watch like continually sort of like scale up. Like PK, you know, redid that entire, you know, like painted that wall and like made all that stuff. Dan's, you know, background and all that stuff has scaled, and now Dan's like, you know, consistent with a live and a pre-recorded video every week and things like that. And so I've just watched all the people that like I look up to move into like a new level of like consistency and like quality and taking it a little more serious. And I feel like my stuff is more like stagnant and not really following that pattern. So I want to come back when I know that like I can take it seriously and be like a channel that's consistent and quality and something that like people can rely on. So
Well,
be
shit, tell
back.
me you don't like my channel without telling me you don't like my
I watch
channel,
you. I
man.
just watched both of your videos you
Consistent
just dropped.
quality. Like, all right, well, all those things
I
you
just
say you
watched
want
both
to
of
do,
your
everyone in the
videos.
chat, I will do that for you since Retro has abandoned that. Don't worry. I will keep up the inconsistent, bad, low quality, you know, whatever that
Yeah.
content is, I will get you there. So keep liking, keep subbing to the channel. You'll get it.
I was
Nah,
laughing
man.
because he was talking about editing, and I don't edit any of my videos. Everything's just hit play and go live and start talking, and who knows where that live's gonna go. So
Man, I
Yeah,
loved your lives, PK. I did a live on the other night, just inspired by one of your lives. Just the way that you kind of like literally, like you said, hash it out in your own mind. Like I'll see you go through, start out an episode, if you will, like really bearish on something, but then move into really bullishness as you kind of go through the thought process, or vice versa. And it's kind of fun to see that process because you literally have the beauty, and don't take this the wrong way, but you have the beautiful superpower of ignoring the chat until you're ready to go ahead. Because if you ever wondered why there's only one live Cardboard Hands in all of the Cardboard Hands, one of them was live. Okay, it's because I cannot interact with live chat, or no. Okay, here's the thing. I can interact with live chat, but once I start interacting with live chat, it's the death of whatever my thought process was. So I always respected your ability to legitimately ignore the chat. They'll be like roasting you for it too, and you don't give a shit. And then when you're done with your thought, you're ready, you'll start interacting. And like I noted, and that's when you're like, all right, and I need to take a cue from that because that's really smart. Because like I did the other night, I did a live for like an hour or whatever. And I was great. I was solid for like 30-35 minutes. I was like, my points were concise and I was like, flowing. Like I was like, man, I'm feeling like PK right now, man. This is good. And then like I started
it's
interacting
tough to
with
do those.
Walrus. Bro,
It's
Walrus in there, he throws you off, man. So
it's tough to do those lives too, man. It's crazy. Like if you're sitting and talking in like a voice chat or something, I feel like you can sit and talk for hours with people about cards and Pokemon and stuff. But like to sit there and talk into the void and like stay on track, like it's a lot harder than people think, man. Like it seems easy. They're like, oh, you're just going live and talking, but it's like, nah, man. Like to make it entertaining and to make it concise and to stay on topic, like yeah, it's a little more tiring than people would expect. So kudos to you.
yeah, our man has the gift of gab. We know that. And so that's kind of why I wanted to have the guy on here tonight, is because I needed someone who's going to be more bullish than I am bearish in this market to counteract my bearishness. Because I know, Retro, you are always trying to throw some, you know, put some water on the fire of my bearishness to provide a little extra steam and heat and get it out of there because God knows I need it. But I want to know kind of what you think about this modern market right now, both of you guys, honestly, because I really respect both of your opinions for very different reasons, obviously. I know that PK, you're more of an English guy, kind of like me, but I know you deal with a lot of the Japanese market. So I'm kind of curious to hear what your thoughts are on the Japanese market and what's going on with that right now. But Retro, more specifically, I'm very interested because I know this is your bread and butter. You've been primed for this whole Japanese market, literally. I don't know if you're going to be mad at me for saying this, but weeks before the Japanese market, you were in my DM saying, "Yo, let's buy this Solgaleo Lunala Japanese whatever tag team for less than $10." You bought them out. You're telling me to, and now that card's like $500 or whatever in a PSA 10. And that wasn't before the hype. So I want to hear your thoughts on now that it's exploded and it's happening. What are you thinking? But yeah, what do you guys think about what's going on with this whole situation right now? It's crazy right now. Just to put my 2 cents out, it's crazy.
I think I think a lot of stuff is a little bit it's tough. Like the market is not a monolith, right? So like certain things that have gone up crazy, I'm like, okay, they're just going up crazy because they're waifus. They're not like particularly difficult to source or anything like that. It's just like price is price. And once like a new floor is created, it just is what it is. And it's going to push up the price of the PSA 10s and things like that. But with certain like rare, I guess rare, whatever that means to you, like certain niche promos and different Japanese things that have moved up, like they've been expensive raw for a long time, and the risk versus reward profile to like source those cards and grade them was not super great. Like it made a lot more sense to just grade modern because the margins were way better. Like a lot of these rare like Pikachu distributions, I mean, they were expensive to begin with. They were like limited releases. Like in some cases, like some of the half art ponchos were released for like less than a month, and you could only get them from like a specific Pokemon center. And like a lot of the Pikachu promos, like the way that they were, like the way that they came, the product that they came in causes like creases or dents or things like that. And so like you would only know that if you've like tried to source the actual product that the cards come from. And so for a while, I mean, those cards would be like $300 raw, right, to find like a minty copy. And even then, like you could get it in and it could have like a slight dent or crease because of the way that it was distributed. And then the PSA 10 was like $450. So it doesn't surprise me that cards like that are like above $1,000 now, because for a while it was just like these are rare cards. They're harder to grade than people think. At some point they've got to go up. And so now I'm kind of like, you know, like vintage hasn't been hot for a long time, but I'm looking at the risk versus reward profile in vintage and I'm like, this shit doesn't make sense, right? Because you'll cards will be like $60, right? PSA is definitely harder on old back than they are on new back. The card will be $60 raw, it's $15 to grade, and if you hit a 9, you're selling it for $65. So you're like losing money, right? And this is of like big Pokemon like your Tyrannitars and Umbreons and maybe not Umbreon, but big Pokemon, right? I think even like Blaine's Charizard from Gym is like under $200 in a 9, right? And you're probably gonna pay
How much
yeah,
do you think this is?
yeah, exactly. In a 10,
$125, and I
yeah, and
can't sell it.
the deck is like what, 350. So
Yeah, it's a 10. It's a 10. Yeah.
yeah, so at some point you would think that like fundamentals might, you know, start to make some of that vintage stuff move up just based on like the risk versus reward profile. But I mean, like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not a genius. I mean, to me, like the Solgaleo, like that play, like that was super lucky. I thought, okay, I'm gonna buy these for like $8 to $10, grade them for 15, and then sell them for like 1 to 150. Like I had no idea that they were gonna go to like 500. Like that is nuts. And
Yeah, when that happened, I legitimately thought of you and I laughed out loud. I was like,
but
oh my.
but the one thing I will say that people like, here's the thing is like people got it in their mind, I think a little bit too, that Sun and Moon was modern and that modern's easy to grade and it's always going to be around. Like there's tons of this stuff. And one, Sun and Moon is like 5 years old at this point, so it's not exactly modern. Two, it was printed less. And three, like especially on the GXs, the centering is terrible. So even if there are a lot of these cards out there, trying to find 10 quality contenders in English or Japanese, like centering is not great on those GXs, especially. So I think people are now searching for 10 contenders or trying to buy 10s because like it's not as easy. And I don't know, man, like even just leading up to it, like, so sorry I'm going on a rant, but like this dude can sign some cards through me through Instagram, super nice collection. But he had both of the lilies in PSA 10 in English, the Sun and Moon base one, and then the Cosmic Eclipse one, right? I don't really follow the waifu market like that crazy. I listed them. I got offers immediately for like way higher than I thought I was going to get. I was like, oh, damn, both of the buyers were from Japan. So then I'm like, okay, so like the Sun and Moon base Lily, I think I got like $700 or $800 for it. I go to TCG Player. Well, actually, first I checked eBay, and there was like 3 copies listed in PSA 10. That was it on eBay. 3, and this is like an ultra modern, ultra available card. There's 3 copies. Okay, they were all on auction. They were all going to end in like the next day or two, and then there wasn't going to be any copies. Then I looked for raw. There was like 5 copies. They were all like, MP basically. Like they all had whitening, all sorts of issues. So I'm just like, oh damn. Like, so then I go to TCG Player. Near mint, there's 10 listings of this card left, and it's $70. And I'm like, it's $70 to. So I bought a bunch of those out, and like, I mean, most of them came back and like they're going to be 9s or whatever. But like the point is like I wasn't looking at this stuff really at all. I just kind of got like curious when the cards were selling so fast, and I was like, this stuff is not as available as people think it is. And that's part of the reason the prices went nuts, is because it wasn't available. Like there were not 50 copies of those cards listed. In most cases, there was like under 10. And I'm not trying to say that they should be valued at what they're valued. I'm just telling you like what I saw and then what ended up happening. And I think even now those cards are even up from where they were. So yeah, kind of a long rant, but those are just some things that I noticed. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, so for me, the reason why I don't go heavy into Japanese is because for me, it's a comfortability issue, because I'm not sure, just kind of what Retro was talking about, how many exactly are on the market, how many exist. My only like barometer for something like that is eBay. And I don't like that the only like way I have a good sense of that market is through one single selling platform, more or less. And sure, you can do the buy route and stuff like that and look at like what these other sellers from Japan maybe are selling and stuff, but it's still, I just don't feel super comfortable. At least when it comes to English, I have a better like pulse of the market. I kind of know like, okay, this is what allocations were for most people. This is how many they were getting of most sets. This is what I think people are open, and this is what I think pull rates are. All these things. When it comes to Japanese, there's just so many what ifs that I always get a little too nervous. It does not mean I do not dabble in that market. And for me, I really like to dabble in the Japanese market right at release. So like what Retro was talking about, going after, some Sun and Moon base cards and stuff like this, like I love the thought of that after the fact, but I'm going to pick up everything I can, or at least my big positions in those cards right at release, because that's when the market's usually most oversaturated and that's when prices are usually the lowest. And anytime I buy a card, I always like to try my best to buy more than one. And like on a low end, 3, on a high end, I would love 10 or plus. There's a emerging market that's happening right now. I don't want to blow up plays too much, but it's like acquire 20 plus of cards right now. Like there is a market that has oversaturation right now, and it might not be the English market, might not be the Japanese market, but it's a market. And like that's what I want. And then 5 years from now, I don't see myself buying those cards that I'm buying today 5 years from now. And the same thing works for the Japanese market. So, and for Japanese market, this is a problem too. What I value is not what the Japanese buyer values too. What I value is what I think the English buyer is going to value. So a lot of that's actual Pokemon, not so much waifus, because, and that is a bias thing. That is where my collector side gets a little bit too blurry with the investor side, because my collector side says you should buy what you like and not always what other people like. So that can be like a double-edged sword. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing, but yeah,
And
that's where I stand with Japanese.
to your point, Retro, about grading and centering with the Sun and Moon era, PK, this is something I bet you probably had a lot of experience with. Have either of you ever made plays grading any of those tag team cards? I particularly have made a lot of plays when I was on Whatnot. A lot of my Whatnot viewers or people who watch the podcast who used to come to my streams probably noticed that I used a lot of those tag GX, Mewtwo, Mew, Pikachu, Zekrom, Lucario, Melmetal, the promos from the Sun and Moon era that were always very traditionally cheap and easy to acquire and very undervalued. And they're very hard to grade too. They never graded 10s. I'd get a lot of 9s, a lot of 8.5 CGCs, whatever. A lot of those ended up in like mystery bags or in like, on my lots, or a lot of that was on my channel and whatnot. And I made many plays into grading that era of card. And it wasn't, mind you, I was always doing that off of eBay and TCG Player and, off of Facebook. And to be honest, I may have been getting cards that were picked over because of that. But I honestly also opened a ton of those 10s, and they just come out of the 10 with whitening on them, the way that they're packaged. And so I know they're a hard 10, and they're a beautiful art. They're a difficult promo to 10. It's the same thing with those Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, Eevee promos, the V promos, alternate arts from the beautiful premium boxes. You'll see 9s, they're Dino Dozen. 10s, they're a little bit harder to get. I mean, they're not impossible because there's so many of them, but they come out of the box. You don't know how many of those boxes I opened and got just whitening, throw it away, throw it on TCG Player. But I made plays on those tag teams, my point being. And I've graded a lot of 9s. I haven't graded very many 10s. So just knowing that, there wasn't a lot of margin on the 10s either. Like when you would get a 10, how many 9s you'd get for the 110, the 10 would sell for $100. The 9s are selling for like $30, and so it costs you $40, $45, all said and done, to like get a good one, get a few of them and grade it and then get it back. And so you're not really making much margin when it came down to it. So everyone knew that those cards were like beautiful. Everyone knew they wanted them. Everyone thought they're readily available. But how readily available is something really as time marches on, as it is difficult to grade, and as those good copies get kind of graded up, and then the other ones get passed around the market. So, I mean, as someone I'm sure you have experience, they are hard to grade. I think tag team is justified. That's my point, I guess, is with that particular tag team era, I think the prices are somewhat justified for that era.
So I might be on the other side of this. I've had a lot of really good luck grading tag team cards, but I'm wondering if it's again because you kind of mentioned it when you were talking that you were buying from TCG Player, and I only buy from eBay. So I'm always buying with front and back photos. So I'm definitely way more selective with the cards that I am buying. Or what I one of the things I recommend to everybody out there is find find your seller. And if you know what that means. Find your seller. Find your guy who you know's always at release, always sells in bulk. He's not really looking over the cards. You know the condition, the quality of the cards. That one seller sells. Like, and I pay a premium sometimes to go to the same seller over and over again. And every release I always check him first. I always look at his buy it nows. He always has multiple quantities of cards, and he's never lowest on the market. And I'm fine with paying 10%, and sometimes in some cases 20% more on raw modern cards that I know I want to acquire positions in, because a lot of the sweet spots for these modern cards, the market's got a little crazy now, but between that $5 to $20 range. So you spend 10% more, sure, you spend an extra $2, but for me, it's peace of mind for two reasons. One, I know the cards I'm going to get are going to be good condition because I know the way he opens products. And number two, I know they're going to make it to me in the mail because he's done it now for years, So that's something that I've kind of done. But yeah, I've had really good luck with grading cards. So,
and it's also one of those things. It's like you said, luck of the draw. Sometimes I think you get a good. There are plenty of cards I've sent in that should have gotten 10s. That maybe maybe there's some of that going on too. But I definitely think that's a really good tip that we haven't touched on enough in the podcast or in general. Is like finding the right, like when you get a seller that you like really like, you can save that seller and you can buy from them again. You can test the waters, maybe if it's on TCG Player, on eBay, whatever it is, and you know that it's going to be good every time. That's such a valuable piece of information that you can only really learn by doing it and trying multiple times and making note of that. So
and I'll buy out 100% of a certain card on occasion. Like if he has 9 listed, I will buy out all 9. So by me doing that, I might, it's like maybe it's a competitive advantage, maybe it's not, but like maybe I'm preventing anyone else from realizing that this guy sells, truly near mint cards too, because anytime like he's selling 9 of a card, it's just like, okay, $5 a card, easy, 45 bucks, done. Like, don't even got to think twice about stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a competitive advantage, or there could be a like a double-edged sword part of that, where maybe that's a poor thing too, because maybe I am paying a premium on every single card. And when you add 10 to 20% on every single card for multiple releases through multiple years, like there could be a lot of money maybe I'm costing myself, but sometimes for that peace of mind, for me, it's worth it.
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
yeah,
you might be saving though, you know what I'm saying? Like if you know that the guy is gonna like ship you mint, it's like, okay, maybe if over the course of 5 or 10 buys you're paying an extra couple $100, but it's like if you turn around and you buy from somebody else that ships you something in poor quality, and then 30% of what you bought from them ends up being stuff that you have to resell raw, maybe you're losing like 20-30% reselling those cards raw into the market, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I like paying up for peace of mind, you know, like I'm down to pay for safety.
you
But
get
with
what you
the
pay for. Let's just say that you get
yeah,
what you pay for
but
a lot of the time.
I can't remember if it was last podcast or a couple ones ago, but we talked about like not waiting around for the market to confirm things to you, and like I don't know, man. Like I was looking at, because primarily what I bought was like I didn't buy any like the crazy big cards like the Battle Day stuff or even really the alt arts. I was focusing on the like the double R's. I don't know what those are called, like double rares or whatever. They're still like the tag team GXs, but they're cheap. And I was looking at them and I'm just like, these cards are cheap. I mean, they're like $4, you know, and they weren't selling for, I mean, they were like, I don't know, like 69.99, 79.99 and tens and stuff like that. But I'm like, these cards are way too cheap and there's not a lot of them. So like I was cool taking like a fairly small margin on a lot of those cards and just kind of going for it because I believed in them. I was like, it doesn't make any sense that like this Gengar Mimikyu is selling for $1,500 and this is 10. Like that just, you know what I mean? But like sometimes you just have to, you just got to go for it and just be like, all right, I'm buying 100 copies of this, like, because I like it. It looks good. It is what it is. And
Okay, so
you can't really wait around for other people, like for a podcast or a YouTuber to be like, oh, yeah, that's a good buy. It's just like sometimes you just got to, like, I don't know, like trust your intuition and of course, like protect your downside or whatever. Like, don't overspend or over leverage or anything like that. But to me, it's like, okay, if all like the reason I was so like on you guys about that Solgaleo Lunals, I was like, dude, anything with Lily right now is going absolutely nuts. This is a good looking card and it's under $10. Like it does not make any sense to me. And even if the market didn't move at all, it still would have made sense to grade. You still would have made like 25-30 bucks or whatever after grading. So it's like to me there was no downside. And then the fact that it just like went to them, I mean it was nuts, man. You know, like and I didn't predict that or whatever, but like people want stuff or people don't want stuff until it's gone and they can't get it anymore, and then they start foaming at the mouth, right? Like the market is so fickle. They're like I remember when rainbow, like first people loved rainbow rares. Now it's like, oh, I hate rainbow rares. I'm so glad that, but I promise you, I don't, well, I shouldn't say I promise, but I bet rainbow rares are going to come rip roaring out of nowhere. And people are going to be like, why are rainbow rares so expensive? Because they're going to look back, they're going to realize they're not as available as they thought they were. A certain percentage of people are going to go against like the YouTube trend and be like, you know what? I actually do think these are cool. And those will probably start moving up. You know what I mean? Like time in Pokemon has a way of just, yeah, man, like people like stuff and then they're not hot on it anymore. And then like a year later, like they come back to, it's crazy, man. Sometimes it moves quicker, you know, like the dogs from V-Star Universe for like out the gate, those were like 1 to 150 in PSA 10. And then they dropped down to like 35 to $45 because they were so flooded. And now I think they're back up to like 60 or 70. And I wouldn't be surprised if in like a few months those were back to like 100, you know, because it's like it's the legendary dogs out the gate. There was too much of it. Too many people were grading it. People got burnt out on it. But over time, it's like it's full arts of the legendary dogs. A lot of people are going to want those cards. They're good looking cards, but you have to have the balls. Like if you want to make money, like if you want to do the investing or whatever, like you have to sometimes like have the cojones to be willing to like go out on a limb on stuff that seems cool to you or has great art and just be like, you know what? I'm going for it. I don't really care what other people think, you
How
know?
long do you wait though is the question, because I've had the balls for Hidden Fates for about 2.5 years now, and I've been waiting, and I'm looking at the tag team, the Sun and Moon era, and I'm like, hey, Hidden Fates, what's going
I
on? So
wouldn't,
this is
I
the
would,
weekly, bi-weekly
yeah,
Hidden Fates
I
I got
wouldn't be
wave
roundup.
one Hidden
surprised.
Fates. I'm still sitting on. Don't worry, Josh. I'm right with you.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if that stuff starts to move. I mean, there's a lot of it, but I look at prices of like Umbreon and Espeon GX, and I'm like, okay, this is shiny Umbreon and Espeon, and these cards aren't even $100.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know
they're
what I
hard to
mean?
pull.
Like,
They're tough to pull.
yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff started moving. You know, no one's really talking about it right now, but
Once it does, guarantee you, all of Pokemon YouTube's will be like, Hidden
Yep.
Fates, what's
Like that
going on? You should have known. It's the balloon. It's the whole Sun
that
and Moon.
Greninja is criminally underrated too, and how hard it is to pull too. Having a full art shiny Greninja, shiny card, everybody, and this is the thing, everybody always says, I would love a Greninja card. I'd love another Greninja card. Come on, like what is Pokemon doing? And it's like, well, you
Hidden
got this
Fates,
one right here was
20
open to
bucks.
absolute oblivion. You probably have a lot of buying opportunities for the last 3 years. But yeah, like Retro said, that won't even be on people's radar until it becomes the next tag team card, you know?
That's when it's $100. They'll be wishing they bought it at 25, 35, 45, 50. So I'll buy it at 75 because it's 100. But now that it's $20 right now, nobody wants it because
Yep.
it's been it was $50 when it came out. It's
Mhm.
cheaper now than when it literally has done so, like, it's such an anomaly. Yeah, I just have to bring up Hidden Fates every podcast. It's like the meme of the whole, at this point, it's one of the many memes of this podcast is I'm gonna shout my head out about Hidden Fates until it finally raises to the price that it probably should be. But yeah, I mean,
Really quick, I'm looking at TCG Player right now, and the most expensive card in Hidden Fates is the Jesse and James full art, and it's $14
you mean in
raw.
the main
And
set, not the shiny ball.
and that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
first card that like kind of had a mini buyout too when it came to Hidden Fates. I don't know if you remember, that was like a $3-4 card for a while, and then there was this huge buyout, and it went to like $7 or $8 or something like this. I want to even say it was maybe Mason Cardinal Gaiman made a whole video just talking about that one card as like, this is what a buyout looks like, and then
It's
it
doing this
dropped.
right now. It's actually going up right now as we
Nope,
speak.
yeah, but it did drop right after that buyout, and then there was another buyout, and you could like point to the buyouts in that graph and say this is where that second buyout happened.
It's a beautiful card. I have one at
Oh yeah,
PSA right now. I grade them all the time. I just love that particular card. Listen, it's no joke. No one knows it's not unheard. I'm a Hidden Fates fanboy. It's probably my favorite set of all time. Just because of like the nostalgia it brings for me. It brought me back in the hobby. My fiance and I chased it around Walmarts and Targets, and we were just chasing Hidden Fates. It was so fun at the time and so innocent it felt like. So I don't know, it
what's
holds a
what's the
spot.
Charmander at, the Shining
Oh, it's
Charmander?
dark,
That's got
man. I saw a lot of 10 shiny Charmanders on eBay go for $300. I think it was like $333. So
when
that's
was
like
that?
30 bucks a Charmander, all PSA 10s.
Oh, okay. I was
Here's a
gonna
They're
say,
all
vibe for
10.
you.
I thought you were gonna
Here-
say like at release you saw that happen,
No,
but
that was a
okay,
few weeks,
PSA
like a
10.
week or two ago. That was like I was bidding on it, and I fell asleep, and I didn't have my Gixin going, and I was mad that I didn't buy it because I would have bought it at like 400. So
Yeah. But that will be one of those cards that everybody will look at the Shining Vaults and then, but this is the problem. Like this stuff takes time,
yep.
and I just don't know if people really truly know what time in this hobby actually is.
2 weeks,
I
the
just,
next set's coming out. That's what
yeah.
time is to most people in the hobby. Flipper time is 30 days. That's when my credit card bills are coming due. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, people always talk about plays, and they always kind of want you to talk about singular plays. It's like I have plays that are going on right now that might not come to fruition for 4 or 5 years. Like I don't even know, but you just keep doing all these, and then eventually, and that's how you're going to grow it too. So when things do finally pop, like you're in a position that at least some of the cards you bought pop. Like everybody, and an example of that would be right now is you could have been acquiring tag team cards and Hidden Fates cards and Sun and Moon base cards too, maybe the non-team or tag team cards, but still like Sun and Moon full arts like that Lunala and stuff. What happens when one of those pops? At least you're positioned for when it does happen, you know? But people don't even want to be positioned for that. They just want to wait until it pops, and then it's like a rocket ship. They try to jump onto the rocket ship, and like it's tough. I'm not about that life.
It's smart doing what you do and buying it most of your position on release. It's just it's hard. So I'm very much so. I was thinking about this the other day. Like I am not a collector at heart because I am. Uh, I don't know. It's just like I've never been much of a collector. Like when I was back first really involved with the game when I was younger and I had my binders and I wasn't selling anything, I was just purely interacting with the game. I was playing the game. So like I had play sets in my binder. It was never a collection to me. I didn't care. It was all about the utility and like how much fun I had with it, interacting with my friends. It was a way for me to go up to new people and meet new people because my parents moved around a lot. So I'd go to a card shop and it would be a way for me to make new friends because we all had the same interests. So it was more than about collecting to me. It was about the experience. So like I've never been a collector. So like it's hard for me now that I've gone full sell mode, like I'm business mode, and now everything is for sale essentially. Like you said, PK, you have to make plays and believe in things and not sell them before they come to fruition. And when you're only buying and selling, it's really hard not to take that 20, 30, $40 profit on on whatever card it is you believe in and keep that position. So you end up just kind of buying in and buying in over time more and more. And so it's like a weird position that you put yourself in that if you're not liquid enough, like that you can literally find yourself like needing to kind of take like for example, right now, I can't buy 151 because it's too expensive. I'm not willing to pay those prices. And to be honest, like if it tanks like I expect it to do, I'm not liquid enough to absorb that loss and keep buying once it does come to that price that I believe it's a better price to buy at. So what am I doing? I'm waiting. But if I was more liquid, what would I do? I would buy now and I would buy when it was $70 a box. You know what I mean? And I would hedge against that. But so it's one of those things that I think it's all about, like you've talked about, and I think on some of your channel a lot is being liquid in an illiquid hobby is so important. And it's not just for like a reseller, not just sell for like a business. Of course, it's important for a business to be extra liquid, but like for a person, if you're going to feel FOMO, either don't have FOMO. My advice to you would be this: either A, have zero FOMO, literally do your own thing, stay in your lane, and just when these things pop off, just kind of watch it and laugh and be okay and be at zen, which that is legitimately, it may sound like I'm joking. That is my advice to you. That is the best advice I can give to anyone is just stay in your lane. When things pop off, don't worry about it. Just chill. It's okay. And then if it's something you have, that's great. But that's hard for people to do. The other advice that I would probably give that's more realistic is just to kind of to take it easy, like to stay your pace, play in the game. If things start popping off, maybe play a little bit, but don't go all the way in and try to stay as liquid as you can, because like the main thing is if you are going to be in this space and feel FOMO, if you can't just be zen, you have to have money and you have to be liquid. So that my point would be save that money and try to make the plays you can. That would be, I guess, the best advice.
One of the best ways to stay liquid is, and I find myself not doing this all the time, but one of the best ways to stay liquid is, when things do start to pop off, then you start to grade those cards. I always like to try to grade them before they pop off, so I'm ready if they do. And I sometimes wish I didn't do that because you find yourself sitting on a lot of cards that I just call it not worth it to sell, And it's like, what do you mean not worth it to sell? It's like you bought them, graded them, and you have multiple copies of it. What do you mean it's not worth it to sell? It's like, I believe that one day it will be worth it to sell. And that can be one of the toughest, especially when you start talking. Just let's say you have 100 cards, right? That you did that with. 100 cards in this hobby is not a lot. That's $1,500. That's $1,500 of dead money in just grading fees, and that doesn't even include the amount of money that you paid for the cards. So if you're talking on a low end for, you know, position in $5, that's 500. If you're talking about a $20 card, then that's another 2,000 you add on to that 1,500. Now we're talking you have $3,500 of just dead stagnant money. And the question is, for some people, it's like $3,500 is a lot of money to stick on a shelf and hoping and praying. And then other people look at that 3,500 and say, this 3,500 is costing me money because now I'm not flipping this day to day. And that is one of the absolute hardest things. And I do not have like the perfect answer for that. I wish I can say to everybody, like, you should sell them all, flip that money, keep turning and burning, and only do the plays you know. But, you know, sometimes when you have that 100 cards and all 100 of those cards were team up full art cards, you know, it's like, oh, well, then it was worth it for every single one of those cards when 25 of them were Gengar Mimikyus, or, you know, you had 15 Mimikyus from Lost Thunder and PSA 10, the full art. Like, then that's worth it. It's like, but I don't have, there
And
is
it's the
no perfect
legendary
answer I can
dogs. Then you have in the same breath that situation with the legendary dogs that you bought at 25 and graded for $15, and they
Yeah.
dropped to $40 as a PSA 10. And you have a stack of PSA 9s next to your PSA 10s, and you can't even sell the 10s for what it cost you to get into grading. So and that's a good play. I would have told you on that's or the Crown Zenith Pikachu, for example, the special rare Pikachu. I was buying that card up all the way from 30 down to $7. I finally stopped buying it at $7 because I've just bought it and sold it, and it's the margins aren't worth it for that Crown Zenith English Pikachu. And so like it's like that. Like if you have 100 of those, yeah, it's a no-brainer play. Like, dude, it's Pikachu, it's a secret rare, it's, you know, it's gonna be desirable. But if you have $1,500 tied up in Crown Zenith Pikachus that you're still waiting on because it's an obvious no-brainer play that's going to eventually pop off like these tag team cards did, then you feel like an idiot when you sold all of them and then the week afterwards they all pop off and all the YouTubers start talking about it. Everyone says, oh, well, you know, you should have known all it's X, Y, and Z. And you're like, yeah, I had all that in my head 2 years ago when I bought in, and I sat on my hands and I watched all of you guys, you know, playing celebrations and Crown Zenith, and all this time I'm sitting on my hidden fates. And, you know, and like, it's like, how do you not, when everyone's talking about 151, immediately sell out of your hidden fates, your trainer ETB collection that you've been sitting on for 2 years, that's just essentially dead money dead in the water, and buy into the hype that is the new hottest thing, that this is doubling and tripling, and everyone's like, just grade and sell. All these flipper channels like, just grade and sell. It's so easy. Just do it.
Only like if it makes sense to you though, because like I feel like where FOMO can really get you wrecked is if you see somebody else doing something that you don't understand, but you're like, oh, well, the grass is greener, I should be doing that. And then you go into something and you spend money and you get wrecked. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't understand some nuance, or you overspend or whatever. Like, it's tough with English right now because English seems to move slower. But while you guys were talking, I was looking more at Hidden Fates, because in Japanese, the stained glass birds is like a secret rare. That card's like $1,600 in a
Yes.
PSA 10 is the last sold.
Legend.
I saw
That's
that
such a
recently,
good
yeah.
set. It was such an underrated set for so long. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. We all know that. We all have known that about that
Yeah.
set.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking at the English, which is obviously like the ETB promo, and I'm looking
It's
at the
going up
sales.
lately. It is going
Yeah.
up lately.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sales volume over the past week, and it's been moving up. And if you look at like the 6 month and the year chart, like it's having like but even if the box stays at 150, that card is not a set pull. Like, I'm not saying that the card should be worth $150, but you have to break an $150 product to get that card. The Japanese version is $1,600 in a PSA 10. The PSA 10 of the English version isn't even $100.
Nope.
So like, and I'm not saying like, you know, leverage your life savings, all that sort of stuff, but like like when you look at that kind of, and again, like English takes a little bit longer to move, but I mean, I'm looking at it, it's like $20 right now. There's 46 near mint listings on TCG Player, you know, whatever that means, right? But you're gonna be spending a little like close to $900 to completely wipe out TCG player, and then you gotta have to weigh the risk reward of that, right? Like, because like you said, you know you're tying up $900, but if you're looking at like the other alternative is $1,600, like is it feasible or like reasonable to assume that that card could go to like $30 or $40 raw? I would say yes, but there's also a possibility that you buy out those copies and somebody comes with like another 20 copies and hits TCG player with them. Like,
I was
you
about
know,
to say, you know
you
what
don't
happens
know.
Competition for a
when
card
when
like
someone
that.
buys me out of these cards on TCG Player, I only keep 8 at a time on my TCG Player because I want to make sure that if the market moves, I move with them. But
Yeah.
I sell these Arceus cards to players all the time. People try to buy me out of them, other sellers, and I know this because I see who the person is who bought it and who I'm shipping it to. When I get to like 5 and 6 copies, and then I go to their store and I see that they list cards a little higher, and they try to move the market on it all the time. You know what happens when that happens? I put 8 to 10 more up right afterwards, after I ship it, and it's, and they tried to move the market. I just put it right, undercut them by 1 cent, and they may have moved the market a little bit, but I move it down just a little bit more. So what you're worried about is something I think that's a legitimate worry for ETB promos, for mass produced things like the birds, like you're talking about.
But at
Anything.
Starter
some
Ninja
point,
too,
like
yeah.
at some point, like something's got to happen, right? Because like you keep buying those cards, keep buying those cards at $20. Eventually, like people are not going
Indicates
to be
bird
willing.
buyout coming after this podcast, by the way.
No, like I'm just saying, like this is how I would look at it as a business, because right now I just feel like if you're prime, if you have time to be active and actively like manage what you're doing, like it is more of a flipper's market than an investor's market. But if I was looking at this as a play, I'm like, okay, they're selling for $100 in a PSA 10. You can, you can buy them for 20, grade them for 15. Like, let's say you're in for 40 after shipping fees, insurance, blah, 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 all that bullshit. There's still margin there on the 10s. You're probably breaking even or losing $5 on the 9s. Okay. You could buy 20 copies, see how many come in decent condition, or like PK said, go to eBay, be super choosy about the copies that you're buying, and even if you have to pay a couple extra bucks or whatever on eBay to get that card, maybe like source them from there instead, right? Get the cards in and then make your money selling at current market price. Let's say you buy 20 copies and 10 of them are gradable. Maybe sell like 6 or 7 of them and be in the profit at that point and sit on like 2 or 3, and then take the raw, and instead of like selling the raw directly back in the market, stick them in sleeves and top loaders and stick them in an ETB and sit on them if you believe in it. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point you're going to have to open a $150 box to continue to replenish these. It's not plus EV to do that. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so you can really only operate with like the information that you have, right? Like you can check TCG Player, you can check eBay, you can check around, you can talk to streamers and be like, yo, how often do you see these? You can go to card shows and be like, how often do you even see these promos anymore? So on and so forth. And even out of the sample size that you buy, like let's say you buy the 20, you do well, so you go back, you clear out the other 20. If like what is the gradable percentage? Because then that's the other thing, right? Is like at a certain point, like if only 50% of them that you buy out of like 100 copies are gradable, then maybe you can sort of like assume that, okay, well, it's not as easy for people to completely bomb the market with PSA 10 copies of this card. And so when this current supply is gone, it's going to be difficult for people to continue. And so I think that's what happened with a lot of the Sun and Moon stuff is people sold through what they had. And now like it's not as easy for people to continually source raw, mint, well-centered versions of those cards. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not trying to tell anybody to go buy out that card. That's just like the kind of thinking I would employ, especially when the Japanese version is literally 50x what you can buy and grade the English version for. Like that to me is kind of nuts. Again, English moves a little slower. English seems to be like a little less hot than Japanese right now. But those are just the kind of things that
Why
I
do they
would be
do
looking
that?
at, I guess.
So
Why do they do that in Japan? Where they take these beautiful cards that are like $1 million in Japanese and really hard to pull and make them into an English promo that just gets printed to the ground and made into like printed to nothing. And also, I guess furthermore, you guys think it's a good thing? Do you like that?
depends on the product. I mean, look at that the Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon Premium Collection box. Look at how those cards are released in Japan versus how
Yeah,
they were released in English, you know? So
definitely. Yeah.
completely night and day.
They're prizes. They're prize cards in
Yeah,
Japan. Like
they're
there's
only
only
I
a
think out of
thousand of each copy, I think,
3,000,
right?
I
Oh,
believe.
3,000. Okay, yeah.
I believe so. I mean, I'm not a hill I'm willing to die on, but I think that's the
Right.
number.
No, neither am I. It could go one way or the other. Maybe it's like there's 1,000 of each, so there's 3,000 total, or maybe it's 3,000 of each one. It could go either way, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
but
a bummer with the 151 that they're taking the Mew and the Mewtwo out of the set and making that
Right.
like that. What do you think about that, PK? Did
That's
you
what I
see that?
want. Do you guys think it's cool that they do that? Because the same thing happened with V-Star Universe with the Charizard. They took that out and put it into the UPC, and now the Charizard in V-Star Universe is like $20, bro. It's dark. I see that Charizard for $20. It's like $150, secret rare when it came out. And then because it came out in the English UPC, it tanked it. The same thing's gonna happen to Mew. The Mew's $150 right now. I want to say, just so we have it on record here, quick price when 151 English UPC drops in October, because it's coming out a month after the release of 151 English. What do you think the week after release that the Japanese 151 price Mew will be? Because I have a number. I'll go last though, because I already have my number. It's $161 right now as we speak on eBay.
What do you think, PK?
uh I don't know. I got to think about this one. I had a whole video I made talking about how I thought because the Sword and Shield promos came out before the Japanese ones, I had a whole video talking about why I thought those Charizards would not do as good as they should have being a Charizard from a Japanese set. But they still did very well at release though, too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just not comfortable enough in that higher end Japanese market for set releases, you know?
Maybe
What do
after
you
you hear my number, you'll be able to give a number. What do you think, Retro?
well,
$69. I'm gonna go with $69.
well,
69. All right.
really quick too, like what do you think about them choosing to make it the UPC exclusive card instead of like making the Mew and Mewtwo available to be able to pull like out of a pack? Like, do you think that that's kind of a bummer? Because I mean, in my opinion, like those cards are bangers. Both of them are insane arts, and I feel like it's kind of a bummer that people won't have the chance to be able to pull those out of packs in English. But what do you
I
think?
I love it. I like it. I mean, just because we're on the Hidden Fates train, what did the Hidden Fates Ultra Premium Collection had? It had the Shine and Rayquaza.
Mhm.
Does anybody ever say like, "Oh, I really wish they didn't put that Hidden Fates Shine and Rayquaza in the Ultra Premium Collection. I really wish they put that in a pack you could open."
They
Uh,
would if the Rayquaza was the top hit of the set and they took it out. Imagine they took the Charizard and put it in the Ultra Premium Collection instead, because that's essentially what they're doing with the Mew. Is they're taking not like they could have took the birds, the Zapdos, and put that in the Ultra Premium Collection, and that would have went so hard. And then you'd still have the best hit in the set, because I think the Zapdos is my favorite. It's one of my favorites in the set. But the Mew is definitely high and above the rest. And them taking it out of the English set is not only going to, in my opinion, but by the way, Retro, you didn't give me a number. What do you think that Mew is going to be at, by the way?
Dude, honestly, like I think, I mean, it's I don't know, man. Like if Japanese continues the way it's been going, I think that like a lot of Japanese 151 will get open, singles will flood the market. It'll be down for a while, but I think like as we start to move into like the holiday months, I wouldn't be surprised if it started moving back up. Honestly, it's like what, like 130, 150 right now. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that card was around like 150 to 175 in the winter, just because yeah, I mean it's expensive, it's hard to get. Like right now, card shops just shut down buy lists and things like that. And I think that's just because like they're getting flooded. They're doing the print to print to demand thing where you can order the one box from the Pokemon Center and stuff like that. Here's the other thing. The first wave of 151 is doo-doo as far as print quality goes. There's a lot of little like white dings. There's a lot of OC issues. Um, so yeah, I think Pokemon's going to print a decent amount to sort of like remedy that so that people can get like access to the set, get like hopefully a better quality print run. I think singles will tank for probably the next like 2 to 3 months, and then I think after that they'll probably start moving their way back up. I already think that like V-Star Universe is at that point to where like it is right on the precipice of just being out of here. Like there's so many valuable, expensive cards in that set, so many good looking cards. And with what happened, kind of like that was really the first set to where the plastic shrink wrap thing started happening, as far as shops like taking the shrink wrap off in front of you. And so now like sealed cases of that set are like holding a premium to just the booster boxes. And yeah, man, like if things continue the way that they have been, I actually wouldn't be surprised if it was more expensive. I don't think that the Japanese is like it, and we kind of talked about it a little before the podcast, but I don't think one way or the other, I don't think Japanese is a alternative to English, and I don't think English is an alternative to Japanese. I think primarily the demographic or the buyer of the card is like that's what they buy. Like if they're buying the English version, it's because like they collect English. If they're buying the Japanese version, it's because they buy Japanese. So I don't think like the Mew UPC comes out, that card in English is probably going to be like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks or whatever, because the UPC is like what, 129.99, 139.99.
Mhm.
So people will probably be dumping that to try to get some of their value back. I could see that card being like 50 to 60 bucks. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. I think Pokemon America though is smart for releasing that closer to the holidays, and I imagine there'll be a decent amount of that available through the holiday season, which is good because even though people are kind of a little bit, like stonked out right now between like the Unigabas and all this other like 151 is going to go down as like one of those set. Like it is nuts. Every single time a leak released for that set, it was like, okay, like it's good. It's real good. And you can list, oh, best set ever, what, but it's just like, man, like that is a good looking set. And I'm already like, when are they gonna do Johto? Like I want them to do Johto so bad. So yeah, sorry for the rant, but
I just want to know though, like, how's it taste? Like, what's the flavor like? The green tea Kool-Aid that you've been drinking from Japan. How can I get some of that shit? Because it must be fucking good, bro. You think that Mew is gonna be more expensive than it is now in the time frame of October in 3 months from now? I thought you were supposed to be my Japanese expert on this channel.
it depends on how much they print of it, but like yeah, I mean I'm just like, dude, for
That
a
card's
while.
gonna be $30. That's gonna be $40.
No,
a
dude,
day,
no,
bro.
no, I
Yeah,
don't
yes,
think.
It's not
Look,
going to be more money, Retro. I don't think.
and the English Mew is gonna be $20. It's gonna be $30 when it comes out. You're smoking dust if you think people
No,
are
30 is
$50,
way too low.
$60.
For a
okay, but
$130 product, no way.
I
It's gonna be
already
printed
think.
to the ground.
Listen. I already think, to be fair, I already think that 151, like a lot of the stuff in 151, is already, in my opinion, too cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, look at okay, the Gardevoir
What do you
from
think is gonna
what is
happen when they print more?
no,
Nick? What do you think is gonna happen if it's already too
They
cheap?
printed so much of what was it? Is it Scarlet and Violet base that has the Gardevoir in
That's
it?
my
Like,
point, man.
no, I know, but listen. The Gardevoir is like, it's like 130, 150 bucks right now. Yeah, Gardevoir is like a popular Pokemon, but it's like, is it really that? It's $150. Scarlet and Violet, they printed a shit ton of it. It was a base set. No one liked it otherwise.
It is the
It's
best
$150. The Alakazam SAR is $30. You're telling me Gardevoir is worth 5 times what like, to me, $30 for an Alakazam EX SAR is cheap.
What's that tell you about Gardevoir? It doesn't say anything about Alakazam. What's that say about the Gardevoir? It says it's overpriced.
Maybe
That's what that says about the
like,
Gardevoir.
Yeah, it probably is, but
yes.
Like to me, any Alakazam like in that rare, like with that art for $30, like that seems cheap to me.
That shouldn't be saying that the Alakazam is cheap, brother. That should be saying that the Gardevoir is expensive. That's where your mind is at.
Man. I think it's like, okay, it's an SAR. Like, what can it drop to? Like 10? You think that card's gonna go to like
$20?
That'd be nuts, dude. I don't think so. I don't know.
I mean, why do you think they would underprint this set? Why do you think that they would? It's literally, people have only been talking about this set. You think Pokemon is not going to literally print it to the ground. Why am I a broken
Well,
record on
okay,
this
here-
Josh,
shit?
let me ask you a question. Why can I not go on PokemonCenter.com right now and get Pokemon Center ETBs for Crown Zenith? Why
You
can't I
could
do that?
earlier. Oh, okay, Crown Zenith. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Why can't I? I would if I'm sure before Crown Zenith came out, you said they're gonna print Crown Zenith to the absolute ground.
They did,
It's
and they
coming out
did. You
so
still
many
can get
different
Crown Zenith.
releases. Those Pokemon Center ETBs will
That's
be
the
up there
one
forever.
thing. PK, that's the one thing, and I wanted to ask your opinion about that while you're here, because I know you're dying on the Pokemon Center ETB hill.
I've always been dying on that.
Yes, you have, and I've always been anti the. I made a video, the first video on YouTube that called out Pokemon products, calling them bags, and I made it. I said, "Don't be caught holding these modern bags." And it's a picture of me. It's saying, "Don't be caught holding an ETB." This is before Pokemon Center ETBs, mind you. But then and so I've always been anti ETBs. And so when Pokemon Center came out, it's like I'm still waiting for the set to break the camel's back on Pokemon Center ETBs. Just like the Vivid Voltage. Remember when Vivid Voltage reprinted the ETBs that went from $180 to $90 to now what they're at $30 or whatever? I'm waiting for that Pokemon Center ETB reprint to basically destroy this false sense of fabric of like hope that these Pokemon Center ETB fanboys have about them not being reprinted. I know. They're all up.
So look, that one right there, that's my second community post I ever did on my channel. That is for Chill and Rain Pokemon Center ETBs. My second community post ever.
I'm
and
rolling
how
my
have
eyes to
those
the back of my
how
head
have those
right now,
done?
just so
Those things are
you can't
freaking
see it
mooning
because
right now.
literally Pokemon Center ETBs have got to be the most brain dead play I've ever. No offense to anyone who likes them, anyone who's watching, but the reason
That's
being the
Two
only
posts
reason
later.
it's because it's everyone gets at the same price. It's not because of what's inside of them. It's not because of value. It's not because of any other reason. Just everyone gets in at the same price. There is no same price in this hobby.
Okay,
There's
wait,
no
really,
MSRP.
really quick. This is actually, I don't know why this is, but on TCG Player, cases of the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box of the Crown Zenith are actually cheaper than cases of the regular.
Yeah, because there's only 4
Yeah, it's
opposed to
4
10.
per instead of 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap.
So they come in
Okay.
cases of 4.
Yeah, so you only get 4 opposed to 10 ETBs.
While
Okay,
Crown
so you're
Zenith ETBs
stonking on the
dumps,
Pokemon Center ones then. Damn, okay.
straight
That's
up, they are. And so
crazy.
I've been wrong.
This is a sealed
times.
case retro of Pokemon Center ETBs, you see.
I
Are they
will admit
bigger?
to being wrong.
They're
I've
just-
been wrong
they're
for
not
so
10s.
long. Yeah, they're larger. They're a little bigger. They're
Okay.
more bulky, so you can't put them in the regular holders. Also, why I'm bearish on them because they don't fit in with the other ETBs. Bro, there's so many reasons to be bearish on those ETBs. So that's why I've been wrong for so long. I'm gonna keep being wrong until I'm not. Until I say I told you so, and then I'm gonna reference all these videos where I was like, "Hey, the old card shop's been saying all these reasons why these ETBs are garbage." You know, for the same money of a Pokemon Center, 2 Pokemon Center ETBs, you could buy a booster box, a whole booster box of a set, and maybe not now, but in 10 years from now, I think I would rather have a whole booster box of Crowns, or okay, let's say Chilling Reign, instead of 2 Pokemon Center ETBs of Chilling Reign. Personally, because you're
Okay.
looking at 36 packs.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because those Chill and Rain ETBs, they were supposed to have 10 packs in them.
Oh, those are the
and
error ones. Okay, I'm
they-
sorry. I maybe not pick it.
So
I'm
they
sorry,
didn't. They had
you're
8 packs. So then
That could be
Pokemon
an
Center
anomaly.
it gave everybody a $10 refund, and then they sent them those 2 extra packs in a special 2-pack blister with the 3 legendary birds on it, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and a special blister. And if anybody out there was dumb enough to open that blister, unsubscribe from my channel right now, please, because that would have
Chilling
been
Reign packs. Nobody wanted that booster.
No,
No one.
I
it was-
was
it
dumb
was
enough to open that. I think I opened, bro.
Oh,
I think I
no.
ordered one of the ETBs and opened it, and then opened the
Oh,
pack,
no.
the free packs.
Okay,
Yeah,
man,
dude.
But okay, but aside from the error, the one-time error that might create an anomaly for collectors who want it, and all this stuff that might create a different market, give it a normal ETB. Let's talk about something like Darkness Ablaze or something.
No, let's talk about Evolving Skies.
Well,
Pokemon
actually, that
Center
didn't happen.
ETBs.
Evolving Skies. There you go. That's one. I would rather, instead of having 2 Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETBs, I would have any day of the week rather have had an Evolving Skies booster box. And so that's the hill that the comparison I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't buy Evolving Skies. I'm saying that when you're spending your money on, going to Pokemon Center and spending your money, if you could spend an equivalent amount, I would every day, almost every day, except for the times right now where I'm wrong, which every case I've been. But looking in the future in my crystal ball, I would rather have the booster box. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, wait. So really quick, PK, what is the bull case other than they've just been performing well? Like, what is the bull case in your mind on the Pokemon Center ETBs, and not of any specific set, but just buying them as an item for future gain? Like, what is your thought on that?
So
There's
Josh
no bull
touched base.
case.
Josh touch base on it. For me, it's competition, it's price points, it's entry points. I don't have distribution. If I wanted to get distribution, I don't even know if I could, to be honest. And I definitely don't think it would be worth it for me to get distribution because I would have to
not
pick
right
up
now.
too much
Maybe
crap product. But let's just say I did. Then I could get a real nice price point. For Pokemon Center ETBs, there is no competition for that starting price point. Whatever Pokemon listed at, that's the price. And I trust the market enough that people aren't going to start paper handing their sealed Pokemon Center ETBs that they paid. That's my bull case. That's why it's entry points, it's competition at the price. And so far, the numbers they've been printing for these don't seem to be as astronomical. And I think a lot of that reason is because now they've also opened up Pokemon Center in Europe. And once they open that Pokemon Center Europe, a lot of that allocation for those Pokemon Center ETBs had to go overseas. And if anybody out there has ever tried to buy stuff from Europe, you just don't, because the shipping cost is make-believe expensive. Try to pick up a single card, let alone ship over an ETB. It's impossible. So you never have to worry about whatever ships over to Europe, in my opinion, more or less stays in Europe. I would say greater than 99.9% of whatever ships over for Pokemon Center Europe ETBs stays there. And then whatever is here in the, States stays here. So then you kind of more or less split that out, that print numbers too, which is even that much better for my opinion. Now, does that mean that they're printing less? No, they're probably printing more, but they're now filling up 2 different Pokemon centers, Pokemon Center US and then Pokemon Center Europe too. So,
And do you think that the buyer of these is primarily somebody that like is just a sealed collector and wants to have the collection of all the Pokemon, or do you think that people are buying them to open because maybe it
I
has
hope they're not buying them to open.
God, I hope they are. If they're not buying them to open, PK, that whole play's ruined, bro. It's literally ruined. You have to have sealed product get opened in order for it to go up in price eventually.
I do not believe that there's enough people out there doing plays in Pokemon Center ETBs. What I need everyone to own one. Because then once everyone owns one, people are far more willing to sell if they have a full case of 4 or 2 cases and they have 8. People are so less likely to sell one when they only own one. And
fair.
I believe that the majority of people buying on PokemonCenter.com, that's what they're doing. They're nickel and diming these products. So the people that do want to resell them and are buying in bulk for that sole purpose, they have a leg up because there's all the average collector help to dilute that competition by picking up ones and twosies of these things,
That's the argument for collecting or for having bulk of anything, though. That's literally the argument for buying a case versus one box, any sort of bulk purchase, So I don't know. For me, I mean, not to bust your balls anymore, I'm not going to or anything, but it's not enough for me. You know what I mean? If you were to say the new ETBs, because they have promos in them that aren't in the set, that are exclusive and stamped, and you can only get them in the Pokemon Center ETB, that's a bull case that I'm willing to hear, because I love your play on the 3-pack blisters, the 1-pack, the check lane blisters, all the stuff with the promos, the Cosmos Hollow promos that aren't in the set. That honestly is a play that I personally wish I would have been making a lot earlier. Yes, that's this. Now that's a play I have made. I've graded so many of those, and I bought so many of those blisters, even when they were in the sealed case of you get 16 of them, 8 and 8. I loved that product for so long because it was so cheap. I broke them on my whatnot for many years. For people, I'd use them for prizes. I love that product. So, but all the other ones though, I didn't make many plays on. But stuff like that, I would be bullish on. But like just ETBs, like regular ETBs without a promo. Now, if you were to say that because of the Evolving Skies exclusive Eevee promo pin, the little pin that came in the Evolving Skies ETB Pokemon Center, and you said that's why you like the Pokemon Center ETBs because of the special pin, I might hear you out, but I know you don't even know the pin exists. You
Nope.
neither
And
of
I
you
have
know that
multiple of
Eevee
them and I
pin.
have no clue. Don't
It's a
care.
beautiful pin. It's a regular.
I will say this though, like as somebody that primarily just operates in Japanese, I look at English right now and I'm like, one, I think people are like way either A, like demand is just like eating complete doo-doo, which I don't believe, or things are like way too cheap right now and people are way too negative. Hell yeah, okay.
Josh,
So
it's this right here, that little line. That's all that matters.
It adds like $100. It's so dumb.
That's it.
But
hey
that's
man,
why I'm so bearish on it because one
don't
little
fight the
line of text.
whales. Don't fight the whales, dog. Like just go along, go swim with the tide. But yeah, man, like I don't know. Like I'd be interested to hear from you guys like what you think about the English side is just I don't know, man. Like I look at stuff and people are like so hyper negative. And I know that like, Gen 9 maybe isn't as popular or whatever, but like people weren't super hyped on the Sword and Shield Pokemon either, and that didn't really matter, like Sword and Shield still performed really well. I
It
don't know,
wasn't
man. Like,
until Champion's Path that Sword and Shield started taking off, though.
yeah,
Champion's
yeah,
Path
yeah.
and Vivid Voltage were the two sets that launched it. Before, I remember I was watching Leonhardt videos, and I was buying Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base, and at that time, all I really wanted was Hidden Fates, but I was still buying into the new sets because they're the new sets. But literally, I remember chasing the Giovanni card, the full art Giovanni from Rebel Clash. That was what me and my fiance were opening Rebel Clash for. That was it. Like it was a $30 card at the time,
And it was
so
super playable too. That's why.
it
So
was
people
very
are trying to
playable, and
bling up
that's
their
we
deck.
we were playing a little bit back then too. So yeah, definitely. So it was a different time period, and I think that the beginning of an era, you're seeing the slow. My distributor, he recently, he was a distributor for a long time back in the black and white era. He recently bought back into the game and bought another. My old distributor got bought out by this new distributor who got back into it, and so he was talking about like what it used to be like versus what it is now. And it's just so I was explaining to him my worries about Scarlet and Violet, the beginning of the era, because what happened with Sword and Shield, what happened with Sun and Moon, etc. And I was expecting it to be a slow start. And so he was saying like, hey, should I buy everything? How much do you think? Like, is it gonna demand gonna be through the roof? We have these conversations because we have a good relationship. And so I told him I would be worried about Scarlet and Violet because it's a new generation. And what they usually do is they throttle it back until the fourth set. And that's when they unleash that next new mechanic, usually. So what I believe it's going to be something like a full art, shiny alternate art. And that's when I'm going to unlock that next tier of rarity. Because right now, the Scarlet and Violet era, what's it really missing? An ultra rare, hard to pull, high tier rarity card, like a god tier rarity. What did we get when Sword and Shield went into the fourth era, which was battle styles? We got alternate arts introduced. That was the Sleepy T-Tar. Those were the first alternate. We had rainbow rares with the Pikachu. That was ultra rare, but it was 1 in 300 packs. The T-Tar was actually like, I think it was 1 in like 600 or 700 packs or something. So it became true rarity. And so, like, I don't think we've been introduced to that for this era. And I think it's going to take the entire era of Scarlet and Violet for this particular beginning of the block to really appreciate, just like it took the entire 8 to 12 sets of Sword and Shield for the Sword and Shield base Rebel Clash to appreciate. Darkness Ablaze hasn't started appreciating yet. It is still in the dumps.
Yeah, but Darkness Ablaze is ass, dog. Like you,
What
if you
what
look
is
at,
Rebel Clash to you? What is Rebel
I
Clash to
mean,
you,
yeah, I
Retro? Is
mean
that
that's
some
not
god
that's
tier
it's
set?
not great either. But I'm saying compared to like Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Evolved, like I'm looking at like, dude, right now Miriam is $300 in a PSA 10. It's done nothing but go down in on the raw price. It's $50 raw.
And
That's
it'll go
6xing
lower.
your money. Like I know the quality is probably tough to get 10 quality, but I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like and like as far as pull rates and stuff go, like they probably will introduce some crazier things. But I mean, dude, Tyranitar is what, like 1 out of 480 packs. Magikarp's like 1 out of 450. Like that's pretty tough to pull. Like I don't.
Look at the name of both of those Pokemon. Who do you think that the Japanese Pokemon company is trying to go after?
PK is an international man of mystery. I
Who
see.
do you think they're going after right now with the names of these two Pokemon, you know?
That's a fair
Yeah.
argument. I personally think they always do weird stuff with the legendaries, and the new legendaries don't always hit as well as, say, some of the older legendaries did back in the day. I do think they're targeting that Chinese market a little bit with the legendaries. I think they know exactly what they're doing with that. But at the same time, I just think it's kind of that new Urshifu style. People didn't love Urshifu, you know? It was just kind of, well, actually, I take that back. That Urshifu was like $150 when it first came out. The VMAX, the
The
blue one.
The
The
alt art
blue
was
one,
sick
yeah.
though. The
Oh, the
alt art
alt
was
art
sick.
from Battle Styles, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the alternate art VMAX, the blue,
Yeah.
that one was like almost $200, I think, when on release.
I
And
think
nobody
it was
likes
the most
Urshifu.
expensive card in the set. I think it might still be. The T-Tar might have passed it by now, but yeah, that
The
was the
T-Tar
number.
is for sure the most expensive, but that one used to be because
Yeah,
someone
for a
pulled it
long
on my
time it was.
channel and they sold it for like $200 right after they pulled it. They told me because I had to send them pictures. I sent it to them in the mail and they messaged me and they asked me if I'd send them pictures of the front and back with a timestamp with their name so that they could sell it on Facebook before it dropped. I was like, sure thing, buddy, I got you. So I remember and he sold it like that, like immediately for $200. So good on him.
That was the height of heights. That was the boom of booms, man, when that was going on. That was coming
Bro,
off.
I was breaking on Whatnot at that time. I was breaking $150 boxes of battle styles. I sold out of like 3 cases, my whole allocation at like 100 on the first weekend of battle styles. And then I saw what happened with it and it just tanked. And I didn't feel
I
so,
I
man, I
like
felt
Battle
so good
Styles.
about
One of
that.
the reasons I like Battle Styles is because when I created my channel, Battle Styles was like the up and coming set. So when I started my channel, that was what I was talking about because it's just like talking about the 151 set today, or just like talking about Obsidian Flames today. When I started my channel, that's all I was talking about. So because of that reason, like it's got a very, very special place in my heart because I never talked about Pokemon the way I do now. You know, like there I would have been literally standing talking to a wall at that point because there was nobody to talk to. So
Yeah,
that set has a very special place. And the thing about Battle Styles is, and it's the same problem we're hitting right now, is when Battle Styles came out, immediately, the day Battle Styles released, people started talking about Chill and Rain because it was just the next set. And I don't think people realize how quickly that hype moved. Battle Styles at release booster boxes were selling for like $160.
yeah, I'm telling you, I sold out of them at that 150 price, like
Yeah.
150, 160, about right there. And that's not just with pack breaks, that's full booster boxes. Pack breaks, I was getting even better than that.
Yeah. And then Chill and
So
Rain came out and
so what do you think really quick, PK, what do you think is going on with English right now? Like where do you think people are too negative? Do you think it's just the case of like no one wants to buy when stuff's low? Like
nobody,
how do you feel about the
that's it.
English
Nobody
market?
wants to buy when stuff's low. It's just
Simple.
now is the time to buy this stuff, in my opinion, especially Scarlet and Violet, like $96 a booster box, $95 a booster box. Like your downside risk, in my opinion, is so low, but Scarlet and Violet could easily be Crimson Invasion and go below distribution prices, you know? The
And
problem is we live in this today, and one of the things that is the hardest thing about doing these kind of conversations and the YouTube talk is we live in such the now moment that things we say now can age so well or they can age so poorly in not a huge amount of time because when I say right now, Scarlet and Violet base at $5.75 for a case is a good price, like that might age extremely well because this is just a small blip in the map where, oh, this was the low, or it doesn't. It keeps going lower, and we see $85, sub distribution prices, and then we just see Scarlet and Violet now flatline for the next 2 years, and 2 years from now, it's only reached up to like 105. And one of the reasons it's only made it up to 105 is because Scarlet and Violet base stays available at distribution for the next 2 years because nobody wants to buy it. So then to buy it now at $5.75 a case, it is the same way as I told you to grade a bunch of cards and have plays for the future. It will be dead money. And if you buy multiple cases, 3 cases, that's $1,500 plus dollars. Dead money. It's the same way as grading 100 cards at $15 a piece. Dead money. But this is a problem. We live in this like finite day to day that the average Pokemon person is not living in this like window. And it's tough. It's next to impossible. And I sit in front of a computer and sit in front of a camera for hours a week just trying to figure this shit out. And at the end of the day, the answer is kind of always, I don't know.
And honestly, that's kind of where I land with a lot of this stuff is that I really don't know. And it's funny to answer the question retro about where I think it's going to go with English or whatever, just to kind of put a nice little wrap around it. I agree with PK. I think that right now, with everyone's concerned with Japanese, with anything in life, I honestly, I'm not one to try to do things that everyone else wants to do. I've never been one that likes the popular thing. I've always tried to kind of dance to the tune of my own music, you know what I mean? And so when everyone's looking at Japanese, I wasn't looking at Japanese before. That's certainly not something I'm going to look at now. Nobody's looking at English. And so like I personally like to look at the things that are being not looked at, and that's where I like to put the money at. And so like it's really hard though when everybody's talking about 151 to see a $575 Scarlet and Violet booster box, which is yesterday's news, and then know that it could stay $575. If your only $600 you got to spend is on whatever you want, how do you spend that on that case of the Scarlet and Violet, knowing that you're going to have to sit in and watch all your friends, all your YouTubers, all the people, all the hype, all the hobby that you're a part of, watch on the sidelines as you spend your hard-earned capital that's probably limited on that good investment that you know is a no-brainer that's like, yeah, it's really low, it should be a good, and then you have to use your capital when all the hot things. So I get how hard it is. So to put a nice little bow on it, I think that, yes, I think English, to your point, retro, is very undervalued. I personally would be buying English. I'm biased, though, because I like English. I don't even like Japanese cards to begin with. I get a little salty that the Japanese get it a month early before us. And so I personally wait until it comes out in English for the most part because I don't know. It makes me mad that like that all the hype is already dead and like we're moved on to the next set before it even comes over to the hands of the people. And then we have to deal with this crappy print quality. It's like, it's just one thing after the next. And like, as an English lover, maybe I should have long time ago moved on and went on to Japanese and bought into that when it was cheap. But you know what? If I did that, I'd be really salty and sad right now because it'd be all, oh, it's so expensive, I can't afford it, and it's the hypest thing. And so like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, kinda. So
yeah, you gotta stick with what you like.
Yeah.
It does feel bad though, like just thinking about English and how bad the print quality is. It's like, damn, man, like that's
But I love these things not because of PSA. I don't grade
no, I know,
myself,
I'm
so
just
that's why
I'm
they
just
print. But
I'm
yeah,
just saying in order for the market to be, to be like a little like, I mean, shit, dude, there's very few opportunities to where you can like this again. Miriam is $50. It's $300 in a PSA 10. That's like, 6xing, little under, or yeah, a little under 6xing your
Are
money
you
after
sure
trading.
she's $300 right now? I thought she
Yeah,
was.
I just looked at solds. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there are very few things that you can do with that kind of margin in Japanese modern where the margin won't get compressed almost instantly. Scarlet and Violet's been out for what, like 4 months now, 3 months now, and like that kind of margin still exists. Like
Yep.
that's crazy. And I would only attribute that to the fact that the print quality isn't great, so it's probably harder to find those cards in 10. But when I think about like being an English collector, I would be bummed if they raised MSRP on things and then I go to open a box and ARs, even like the pull rate of an AR now is like 1 out of 4 or 500 packs, which is ridiculous. So you're not in the position to where you're pulling like the Bills,
That's
Jolteon,
not
and
that's not the pull rate of ARs though, Retro. That's the pull rate
Eevee,
of
isn't it?
one specific AR because there's
Okay.
so many. The pull rates of ARs are very high. They're actually
Got
much
you.
higher than
Okay.
they've ever
Yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
But
like
I mean, even still though, to like open a box for what is it now, like 145, 150, and then the print quality to like not be like that feels, especially after they bought Millennium Print Group, like you would think, I don't know, like you would think that they would be able to print higher quality. I don't know, man. Like I'm not running a print a print facility or anything like that, so I can't comment on those kinds of. And obviously, like with all the crazy foiling and all the stuff they're doing now, it's there's a lot going on. But yeah, man, it's just tough when like the condition hasn't gotten better. It's like Celebrations was a blip where like Celebrations had like amazing print quality. It was really, really nice, even fresh out of pack. And then after that is like complete boo boo. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like it's weird, but I don't know. Like I can't see the English demand dying. I still feel like Pokemon is so hot right now, but the overall sentiment when I watch channels and I listen to people talk is just kind of negative, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like maybe it is just because we're at the beginning of the block or whatever, but to me, it does feel like people are a little too negative, a little too bearish. Even if the sets aren't like packed full of Charizards and Gengars and stuff like that, I still, I don't know. Like I'm willing to go out on a limb and say in like 6 months to a year from now, like a lot of this stuff will probably have aged fairly well. I'd like to think, but I don't know. I could be.
Retro, do you think I'm negative when I talk? Because
No. I think you're cautious, and I mean, like obviously, like you're making the play, so like you're putting the money where your mouth is. I don't know. I would say it's more like the really really big what like the normie YouTuber kind of stuff. Like I feel like those people are making content, like not the people that are like really in depth and knowledgeable. It's more like the stuff that like a normie would watch, I guess. Like that kind
Twice
of
Big
those.
Jake because of that video he made about Paldea Evolved recently where he said, I don't like the set, and he got
yeah,
he
that
got
was
dragged for that video,
that was a
right? Like
hot take video. But Retro, the reason I ask is because one of the videos I made a couple weeks back, right when Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet came out, I talked about how everybody was talking about all the prices for these cards are crashing and stuff. And I made a video saying, if you are buying these cards, you should be so happy. And the two cards I talked about was the Mariams. I talked about the alt art one. At the time, it was selling for $60 raw, and the full art one was selling for right around $30. And I was like, if you're doing this as a grading play, you need to be buying this now. And like that's what I more or less said in that video. I was like, anybody who's telling you this is a bad thing is not doing these plays. And then you just talked about it. Like they're still selling for $300. And by the time from when I made that video to today, anybody who did that play, all those cards are back. And assuming they hit tens, that's $300 cards. They spent $60 on it. And look at even the full art ones. Spend $30 on it. That's still $100+ card. It's like that's great. Like, and that's not even a hard thing to do. It's you literally just went after the best card in the set, or maybe not best card subjective, but the card that everybody seems to want. All you did was you went after that one card right when the set was released, when hype was at its highest and negativity was at its highest, and those prices for all those singles, people were fire sailing them. And especially at release, everybody was open it, so it was just a race to the bottom. It was just gobbling up those cards as fast as you could.
Scarlet and Violet, as well as Paldea Evolved, have gone down. The singles have gone down so much faster on release than any previous sets have. That it's also very worrisome to me as someone watching the market. I still have my whole allocation of Scarlet and Violet, minus like 2 boxes of it. Same thing with I didn't even take a Paldea Evolved allocation. I worked out a deal with my distributor and I just took more crowns in it instead of the Paldea involved, so that I would keep my relationship good with him and I was still buying and stuff. And I just didn't want Paldea evolved. Like, and
Crown Zenith's gonna do well, dude. Like
I know that now. From the
that's a
outside
good
looking
set.
in, I should have taken the ETBs and that was it. I should have just taken a case of ETBs because I love the Pikachu promo that comes in the ETBs. And even though I was talking all this shit about ETBs from the Sword and Shield era, I am singing a different tune from the Scarlet and Violet era. I actually believe in ETBs from this era because they all have their exclusive promos. I still think the Pokemon Center exclusive promos, because I'm bearish on stamped shit. I still think that's a doo-doo,
I'm bullish
bad.
on stamp stuff.
You're smoking
I know
dust,
a lot of
bro.
people
Like you
love
gotta
stamps.
separate what you like from like what everybody. I mean, you know,
Well, yeah, but that's what PK was saying. It's hard to like it's separate. Like sometimes you have to. For me, what works for me is I go with my gut, and I listen to what I personally would like as a person. Because like you've heard me say this, like one of my biggest revelations in life was realizing that I was just like everyone else. When I stopped thinking that I was special and that I was smarter, funnier, faster, that I could outthink people, whatever it was, these illusions that I held my whole life, I stopped caring what people thought and I started thinking for myself more, and it gave me a lot more confidence. And that's when I made the decision to start like doing things that I like and not listening as much. And I feel like that's when a lot more of my success started happening in life in general. But that's a whole nother story. But it's like that's
bro,
the thing.
You know what gets me? Man, like I don't want to like call people out or whatever, but like sometimes people are so quick to jump and be negative. Like it was the possum dude, and he made a video and it was like the Eevee Unigaba packs are searchable, and like he made this whole video and was like saying like, yeah, of course it's all a scam, blah blah blah. And it's like, bro, have you even gotten one of these packs? Like they're not searchable. You can't see through them with the flashlight. Like it's
I
just
said the
like
same
people
thing
are
about
just so
celebrations. I tried to search the celebrations promo packs, and it was hard. Like I could barely. It's really hard to see. So
yeah,
like, yeah,
you can't do it with the Eevee one. So to me, I don't know, man. Like when people, but then like so many people see that video and now have it in their head that like, oh, the whole Unigaba thing is a scam. You can see through and it's like, I don't know, man. Like sometimes that stuff,
yeah. I
yeah,
think that
I
you're
don't
right.
know.
There is some
You, you
overwhelming.
remember these?
Oh yeah, those things. Those are
These are
the
searchable. It's the same thing with the Umagaba things. Do you know why they're searchable? Because they're not sellable. This is an end user product. Who that little kid buying the Happy Meal, that was supposed to be the end user.
yeah.
End user. Those Unigama like EVs, the people that receive those were supposed to be the
Yeah.
end consumer. So
Right.
the fact that they're searchable should not matter. And the fact that people care about that,
But they're not. They're not, is what I'm saying. Like you
they
can't. Like
are. They are. They are.
I
You're
mean,
just not.
you have to. It's the same
I'll
thing with
show
the
you how to
celebration
search them.
ones. You
I'll
can,
show you on
but
one
it
of
takes a
these.
little
You're probably
skill.
doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it. You have to know how to do it. You have to use the right. You have to put it on the right part of the pack.
Yep.
It's not something a normal person would just get and be able to see.
All these are searched. There's no Pikachus in any of the ones I just showed you. So like they're definitely
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I got like 100 of those packs. I sat there. I turned all the lights off in my house. I took my phone light, turned it all the way up, and stuck it right against it. All I can see was white. Like I don't know, man.
And when you do search those, you're gonna scratch it up when you're searching it, trying to like push the card up and like see through it. You're gonna scratch the potential PSA 10. So like that's why searching things is really not a good idea with that kind of stuff too, unless
Yeah.
it's a cellophane pack that like you can literally see through, like the ETB promos. But yeah, okay. So anyway, I have one more topic. So like we've been going on about the Japanese product, which is obviously what we need to talk about right now because it's all the rage. But I do have a topic for this week that I kind of want to talk about that was separate from all of that, that I think is a really interesting topic that we kind of hinted at last week. I personally have just recently made a big shift in my business. After I left Whatnot, I had already transitioned a little bit to eBay. Before I left Whatnot, I was in the process of transitioning. So by the time I formally left, I had all of my product over on eBay. But I noticed that the sales, because I had to start a new eBay, so I had a brand new account and had to get the algorithm going for me. I noticed that my sales are sort of a little bit lower than what I was wanting for my liquidity, especially coming up with like 151 and everything. So I did a little experiment, okay? And so I sent a couple of cards. I sent some Ancient Mews and a couple of Japanese PSA 10 like Arceuses that I had multiples of. I sent them to Z&G Emporium, who had like thousands of followers or whatever, and he's an auction house. And very low fees, by the way. So shout out to Z&G. If you're going to use someone to sell your cards on consignment, I think that Z&G is a great option. So I'll give James a shout out there. But I also did some of my own auctions on my own platform at the same time with the same cards, but I just spaced it so it was ending one day afterwards. So Saturday instead of Sunday. And I wanted to see how they performed versus the other. Because I personally wanted to know if you send someone with a large platform, if they will get more for a card, like a really liquid card, like a PSA 9 Ancient Mew, versus someone with no platform like me who just started a brand new account with like 20 something feedback on eBay. And when I auction the same thing, I want to see what happens. So I sent a couple cards off to auction, and you know what happened? Much to my surprise, I was just thinking I was going to come up with some like, oh, if I send it to Z&G, he'll get 10% more because he has 1 million followers, or it gets the same. I thought that was the information that would come out of it. What I learned was actually even more striking than that Z&G will get more, because Z&G doesn't get more than your own auctions. I love Z&G's platform. I love his auctions.
The titles are so
Yes.
bad, and I understand that he's doing like a shit ton of volume, but like, dude, the title structure is
I don't think
so
that's
bad.
why he doesn't,
It's
though.
so bad.
I don't think that's holding him back. I just think that auctions. Here's what. Okay, let me finish. The conclusion I came to, that I drew off of my little small experiment of 3 weeks in a row of watching auctions, the same card for 3 weeks in a row. I watch it on mine and his platform perform. They perform the same, okay, on my little platform versus his, within 5 to 10%. So it was nominal, that difference. What was crazy about it is in both instances, the card was up on Buy It Now for $50. I had the Ancient Mew for like $60 on $64 and free shipping on Buy It Now on eBay. Many options, not just me, multiple options. In both cases, in each week, both of those cards sold higher in auction than Buy It Now. And I started realizing to myself, well then, Danny boy, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Catch 'em All Collectibles, go ahead and comment down below right now, because I'm calling your ass out right now. Not 90% of auctions, maybe in some collectibles, maybe if you're selling beer steins or I don't know, PSA 9 coins, Pokemon coins, but if you're actually selling an item that A, somebody wants, or B, isn't a million other options on. So for the case of the Ancient Mew, I'm extrapolating my own experience. So obviously I'm picking and choosing here. But with the case of the Ancient Mew, it's an incredibly liquid card. People like to win, and people will always, if they're going to win an auction, they'll pay just a little bit more to win that auction without checking the comps on it, and they'll pay what they think it's worth. And sometimes it's more than what the Buy It Now is. In the case of the Japanese card, there weren't very many on the market, so it was just something that someone wanted, and you didn't have many other options, and it's easier to win an auction when you see it than it is to go search out a Buy It Now or something for about the same price. So that's the case of that card. But the whole point is, I got to thinking after that, auctions aren't half bad, are they? And so I started auctioning all kinds of shit on my channel. And guess freaking what? It's amazing. It's amazing. And so anyone who's out there who's listening to these channels saying, don't you ever do auctions, you won't get what you want. The Pokemon market is pretty strong. That's what I've learned. And sometimes,
what are you gonna show PK? PK's guy, he's hiding something. What do you got
Josh,
over there?
I agree with you 120,000%. I have
thank
never
you.
agreed with you more.
Finally.
Auctions are the way to go, and this is the best thing about auctions. Everybody loves to do like the promoted listings. They're like, oh, I'll price a little bit higher than market, but I'll do a promoted listed for my Buy It Now. You want to know how you do promoted listings? You do promoted listings on starting at 0.01 1 cent auction, promoted listings, for 7 days, it's $1.99. It does not matter what that card sells for. Or you do a 2-day listing, $2.49 for a promoted listing. You got
2 days? 2 days?
sorry,
Figure
10
out
days.
when a
10,
new set
10
comes
Oh,
out.
10 days.
10 days.
Okay.
Did I say 2 days? I meant 10
You
days.
said 2 days.
10
but I
days,
could see
Okay,
a
okay.
$2 option
$2.49. But
working
listen,
for a new set though.
you have all these people out there doing promoted listings on these buy it nows, and they're paying like 7%, 10% on the sale of a card. It doesn't matter what that card ends at. Your promoted listing costs $1.99 for 7 days or $2.49 for 10 days. The amount of money you make for these auctions for promoted listings is absolutely insane, and it's something I never ever hear anybody talk about. That fact, they will talk about promoted listings selling higher, but they're talking about like a $240 card, and I'm just laughing straight in their fucking faces because I'm sorry, I'm swearing on your channel, but
Please
they sound
do. This
stupid.
is a swear friendly. We're friendly
They
with
sound
that.
stupid because an auction will sell for so close, and like Josh said, if not more, and we're talking at this point, we're only talking super liquid, right?
It's got to be
Super
pretty
liquid
liquid for
cards
it to sell for more.
close to buy it now.
Yeah.
So selling this stuff at $1.99 promoted listings, and it's selling for greater than their promoted listings, you laugh all the way to the bank. Anybody not doing that is just, they're dusted, in my opinion.
So instead of letting this
sometimes hold on.
I'm never
No,
letting
I'm too bullish.
every day.
On hyper, like modern liquid chari, blah blah blah. Yes, maybe.
What are you grading if you're not grading
Wait,
those
hold
things?
on. Do you remember when Z&G made those videos that were like, what do you think this sold for? Or whatever, and he would take like 5 cards. Okay. So one of the cards that I remember him selling was a Giratina Hollow PSA 10 from like a half deck in Japanese. And he was like, what do you think this sold for? And it ended up being like $30.
Yeah.
I opened like 40 of those half decks. I have a shit ton of those cards. Since he made that video, I've sold multiple copies for $80 to $100.
Yeah.
More than double what he sold for on auction.
That's not an ideal auction card.
No, that's not an auction card. Exactly.
That's not an auction
card. All right.
That's not a super liquid card. Like, you'll be harder pressed to find somebody who could even tell you what card that is, or the fact that it came from that half deck. That is not that.
Thank you. Okay, so yes. So auctions, yes. There's nuance with auctions. So with this conversation, there's nuance as with all, but it's not a blanket rule. Yes, some buy it nows go higher than auctions. But Dan loves to harp on the celebrations Charizard, because I'm gonna harp on it right now too. He probably is gonna make a whole video about how that card always does better in buy it now. But I bet you that I could find a couple data points where it probably sold to close to, or maybe a couple dollars more than a buy it now. And in the time it takes for a normal person to like just move it and put it on, like how much time do you want to sit there? Do you really want to have 100 of those cards just sitting? I mean, I know that's probably a fast sell through. I don't sell that card, just as a full disclosure, so I don't know exactly how fast it is. But like I personally, just having a guaranteed sale every Sunday, or a guaranteed X amount of sales that you control every single week, where you can sort of estimate out that it's probably going to end at a certain amount of plus or minus what the value is, and you can move that product and have that liquidity. For me, it's been such a boon to my business that I just stopped listening to all this echo chamber of like, buy it now only, be the superior master race of buy it now. It's like, dude, no, I'm going to auction and be just as happy, have the liquidity, and I'm going to have some buy it now. I have a lot of buy it nows too, because yes, buy it nows also sell. So my argument isn't to move everything to auctions, but I actually made a new goal for myself. I am now going to every single week. I used to have like between 5 and 10 auctions ending every week. I'm now going to make it a goal to have like 20 to 30 auctions ending every single week, because I feel like it's that worth it. And I now have tested. I feel that confident in the market. I've been labeled a bear recently, a Pokemon bear, because of a lot of my videos and a lot of my takes. I am not a Pokemon bear. If you think I'm bearish, then damn. But you guys are really bullish. But like, I'm very bullish when it comes to Pokemon. And that, I think that shows it. I'm so bullish that I'm auctioning things because I believe in the market. And that's the true, like, you really have to believe in the market to just throw it up at, like you said, a 1 cent auction or 99 cent auction and let it ride. I look forward to my first Sunday of auctions. I was a little nervous. I was checking the phone and stuff. I was like, kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? Because they tend to wait. Sometimes they wait to bid. But then now every Sunday, it's my favorite time of the week. I love Sundays because of auctions. So I don't know. I've changed my whole thinking, and I'm glad that I didn't listen to you guys in the echo chamber. There's people telling
Bro,
me
I listen. Okay, I was just trying. Like, look, man. I used to do.
trying to keep me broke. I get it. You're trying to keep me
No,
broke so you
dude.
can
I
buy
was
more. I
trying
get
to.
it.
I used. Listen. I'm just telling you what I've seen. Like, listen. I used to do buy it now or best offer, and then I listen. And then Dan was like,
No best
never do
offer.
offers. I don't do offers.
He's right.
And then I stopped doing offers, and
Yeah.
like now I'm selling more.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's right.
I
That's
sell
true.
way more now than like I still do, but I also don't have maybe I don't. To me though, like stuff like Celebrations Charizard sells so quick, anyways. Like if you just low list and throw on 2% promotion, that shit's
Yeah.
gone in a day or two.
Yeah,
So
and
like
I
for
don't
me,
deal
it's
with that
like
card, so I don't know the liquidity of something like that. I don't deal with
yeah,
anything like
I'm just,
that.
or like a shiny Charizard V Max or Charizard V from Champion, like something like that stuff sells so fast that like to me, it's like why. I guess if like cash flow is an issue or whatever, but you're not wrong. Like, I mean, I listed a this Dark Magician girl that came out of like one of these tins, and I think I'm like the only one listed, and I'm like lower or right at the last sold for 149.99. And I go to comp it when I'm listing it, and there was an auction with like 10 hours left that was already at like 158. And I'm like, why don't you just go buy mine for 149? It's right there. It's not like you have 100 options. There's only two options. The one on auction that's more than this, and the dude was charging $5 shipping, and I had free ship, and I'm just like,
Nope.
so maybe Thursday I auction that card and I get like 160 for it or something. Like I don't know. Like I'm down to try it, I guess. Like it just you're not wrong. It's just like not in all cases. And if you know the inventory is gonna sell, like I don't know, man. Like I'm a fan of sticking. Like, dude, some stuff is so dummy liquid, it's insane. Like it. I don't know, but you're probably right. Like when I get like Unigabas back and stuff like that, like I'll probably auction all those.
You should auction some and keep some tens by it now. Do both. Why not both? Like literally,
Yeah,
that's the
or
thing.
like the 151. Like I have
Because
plenty
you're
of
gonna have to
each of
keep
those
lowering
cards.
your price.
Yeah, that's
when you buy it now, you're literally gonna have to lower your price every day, like every hour of the first day
you have to
anyway. So
stay
why not just
so
auction it?
active with the listings. It's miserable, especially
Yeah.
like some of these super modern promos. Like a perfect example would be like Scarlet and Violet 001 Chinese promos or Japanese promos. To try
Good
to
luck.
stay up to date with lowest listing on that
Yeah.
is just
Good freaking luck.
you
Yeah.
got a Japanese Scarlet and Violet 10, you just auction it off and you just
And it
whatever.
sells for it, whatever it's at that exact moment. That's what it sells for, and that's what you get in your house because it changes
You're
by
happy.
the moment on cards like that. Yeah, yeah.
So like
So
that's a perfect example of a card you just auction, and the auction's going to be pretty similar. And if you're super actively engaged, like you can do that. Like I'm going to keep refreshing, and there'll be one other guy with you refreshing, and it's the same thing with like the old maid cards. There's people were doing the same shit with the old maid cards. They were just constantly like nickel and diming each other to the bottom. And then old maid cards, you look at some of the best auctions for old maid cards, they were auctions. They were lots auctions. They were $25, $30 per card at auction. And it's like, oh, this dude just fucking cleaned up because he auctioned a lot of them, you know?
because he had the balls to just let it ride, and he didn't just listen to the echo chamber that is Pokemon YouTube saying high list buy or low list buy it
Bro,
now.
it's not the echo chamber. These are some of the biggest sellers on eBay trying to tell you this shit. Like,
Yeah,
oh my god.
maybe that should be a red flag then, huh? The biggest sellers trying to give you some bad advice on that.
Listen, the reason that the eBay promoted auctions are like doing so well and you get so many views and watchers and things like that is because it's a guaranteed sale for eBay. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to push that out to as many people as possible because they're like, okay, you've already decided to auction this. We know we're getting money, so we're gonna like
Yeah.
shove this as hard as So
It's a
that's
win-win for everyone. And then the person who buys it, you don't have to think about like manipulating the market. You're literally just throwing it up and letting it ride, and it sells for what it sells for. It's such a good feeling. It's a great feeling. And when it goes high, it's an even better feeling. I had a Snorlax that I couldn't sell, Delta species Snorlax, for $40, a PSA 8 Delta species hollow Snorlax. I couldn't sell it for $40. I auctioned that bad boy. I just want you to, what do you think it auctioned for? What do you think?
42 because of the way you're talking.
$108. $108. You know what? I'm not listening to a damn word any of you freaking Pokemon YouTubers say ever again. I'm just playing in my lane. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna tell you guys about 2 hours into the podcast. So it's not gonna spill any beans because no one listens to this shit anyway. So
I will say this. I think it was Pokemon Steven, but he was talking about how like he runs X amount of auctions because he has to maintain a certain like gross in order to get like preferential fees and things like that from eBay.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, on some cards, like I'll lose a couple dollars. And like like I have a lot of cards that I have like multiple copies of, and they sell, but like they'll sell slow because they're a little more niche. And like at this point, I'm in them for free, but I'm so stingy, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hold out but then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, even if I squeeze an extra $20 out of this card, if I have to wait like a month for this to another month, like maybe I should just like so I actually have been putting stuff up for auction, and at this point I'm just like, I'll just take, because like I can just turn around and put it into something else. But it's not like going to be a major change in my business. It's more to like clear out old stuff or stuff that's just like clearing out the house or whatever. But I mean, you're not wrong, man. Like
You know what happens when an auction goes really low on something, when you're like, ah, crap, that went low. You know what almost always comes along with that really low auction the day after when you ship it and they get it 2 days later? The customer is really happy and they leave you good feedback. They say, great A+ seller, ships quick, great product, because they just got a slab for like $8-10 and plus shipping, and they feel like they got a great deal because you literally lost $5-10 to grade it, and they know that, and they want to show you the best way they can, and that's leaving free feedback. And so, like, I am a new eBay account.
Or you shield bid your own item because it went too low and you left yourself great feedback. That's probably what happened too.
Whoa,
so
like,
auctions in theory can never be bad.
Yeah, literally auctions is a win-win, I think personally, because even when it goes low, you get good feedback a lot of the time. So it's like that's what I mean. I just joke about it sometimes in these like discords and stuff because I think that there's a balancing point, right? Like to Retro's point, and I want to walk back what I was saying a little bit. I don't mean that all auctions, I'm going to auction everything, because like to Retro's point, some things don't auction well. Like if you're doing a lot of like really mid-gen, weird Japanese mid-era, like my friend Retro is doing.
Dude, I just graded a bunch through Z of and they're like all pop 1, and they're like the e-battle cards or whatever. And I'm pretty sure, like, I haven't looked at all of them, but I'm pretty sure I was in them for like free, so I'm still making a few bucks. Now they're like that, but they're the ruby and sapphire ones. So like
they're all even less popular. You mean the even less popular ones?
They're not. What are you talking about? Like, okay, they're all pop 1. Didn't put pop 1 in any of the listings. Specifically asked that. Shouts out to you, Jay. Anyways, they sold for like $25-30, and I'm not saying they should have sold for hundreds, but I'm just like, that kind of stuff I probably could have squeezed like $75, $69.99, $79.99. Like I probably could have squeezed that out on Buy It Now, but like it was just sitting in there like literally for years. Like I bought those when I got back into the hobby. They were literally like 50 cents a piece. I'm gonna just like get these out or whatever. So yeah, certain stuff like that's niche, the right people have to be looking for them at the right time for you to kind of like squeeze out that good premium. And it's tough, man. Like it's tough when you auction like a niche 10 of a mid-gen hollow and it goes for like $35. It's like,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. But it's like the alternative is sit and wait for it to sell for like 60.
Yeah,
So at this
nothing's
Or
better though
don't
when you're
grade
the
crappy
buyer though.
Pokemon. Or don't grade shitty Pokemon. That's another option.
You
all
know how many
right.
times I'm the buyer on those auctions too, and I'll look at something and just like Retro said, it's $40, and I'm like, oh man, it's nobody really wants this except for me. Like, do I actually want to buy this? And I'm like, screw it, I'm buying it. You know?
PK,
I've been there.
I got tons of mid-gen hollows, 30 all day, PSA 10, straight to you, baby. I'll cover shipping. Hit me up.
When you say mid-gen, are you talking Diamond and Pearl hollows?
Yeah, dude, like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Diamond Pearl, EX era. Like I got a bunch. It's not like Charizards and stuff, but it'll be like I have a bunch of
Slugmas and Mag Cargos and Fortresses and
yeah, like I got some Fortress, I got Soul Rock,
you
Wobbuffet,
got your Galades on
Shuckle.
lock.
They're good arts. Like, but okay, here's the thing.
They're good arts.
Here's the thing. I got a little because dude, I'm telling you, like a year ago, you could like not even a year ago, a few months ago, dude, you could grade literally because people weren't grading. Like I've graded so many pop ones because people were just like, no one's ever gonna want that. Dude, I graded a fucking Thunderous. That was like $2, a black and white holo Thunderous. I sold it for $149.99. Like what? And like you could get away with doing that stuff because people like just weren't doing it. I was like, it looks cool. I like it. I'm going to slap it. But now the market on that stuff is not super deep. And so after you sell 2, 3, 4 copies, then all of a sudden, like, you know what I'm saying? And then Pokemon Steven hits the market and you're just like, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's, yeah, man, it's anyhow, but.
Yeah, I've got a stack of like Weedles and Ralts and Bagons and
don't be.
I've got a whole bunch of great mid-gen that I'm ready to grade too, buddy. You've inspired me. I'm ready to not sell those for $30.
Bro. Not Weedles. Maybe Ralts, but even then you're like,
no, Ralts sells, man. Ralts is a seller. Ralts is actually low-key a good seller.
Listen, I thought about this. I just a random card, right? This is a Meryl from Paldea Evolved.
Yeah.
Newest possible set. If I could somehow black label this.
Oh my god.
If I could black label this, do you know how much money somebody would spend on this like nickel card?
That's my favorite thing about of the Beckett. So yeah, that's another thing. This is for another podcast where we'll have to talk about Beckett some podcast.
Let's black label this.
A black label is just such a funny way to like interact with the hobby because let's just be honest, BGS is just, man, they're a dying breed. They're just on their lap. It doesn't seem like they're growing much. It's just kind of they're pumping out black labels like nobody's business. Have you noticed that like lately you've been seeing, whether that's because more people are grading now than ever before to try to get it, or because Beckett's in its death throes and they're like, no, please.
It's easier to get black labels for sure.
Yeah,
I will say
everyone gets one. Every submission, someone gets one now. Literally,
whoever's buying black labels is dummy paid. Like I don't know where the people keep coming up with the money to buy this stuff because like the multiples compared to PSA 10s or even just like BGS or CGC, it's so nuts. Like whoever like the core demographic of people that buy Pokemon black labels are whales. For whatever reason, like
we got to get Green Shiz on here to have him tell us about that because the Green Shiz, I think he has 4 black labels he owns personally.
I would never be able to do that, ever. Meaning forever is a long time. I will forever never be able to buy a black label.
Dude, you can't even buy a PSA 10. You think I'm going to believe you if you ever tell me you're buying a black label? Yeah, I'm going to know you're a clone. You've been abducted by aliens. I need to rescue PK. Yeah. He says, hey, Josh, I just bought a black label Cosmic Eclipse Pikachu. I'm like, someone go check on PK. I think an evil clone has taken him.
That's a topic for another podcast. A lot of people with modern, no, absolutely not. But sometimes I do believe it's the smart move to buy. Like, I'll give you an example. There was a card, there was only 2 listed, and I went to list mine. One of them was listed for like $150, and one of them was listed for $39.99 OBO. Okay, and I value the card at like right around $100. You know what I did? I offered 30. He had snap accept offer on. I got that card for 30. I can't source that card and grade it for under $30. So I bought that card. Now I'm low list on the market with that card.
Yeah,
so I
That's
think
a little different.
sometimes
That's a little different than what
yeah,
I'm talking about.
yeah, never with modern, not with modern, absolutely not with modern, but like some of the vintage stuff, man, like especially if there's not a lot of copies, if it seems to just buy it. Because yeah, I feel like when people see such big price, like if they see a copy for $40 and then the copy for $100 and then a copy for $150, they're like, not only do they not feel pressured to buy because there's so many options, but they're like, oh, these guys way up here are like out of their mind. This card isn't valuable at all because the person down here is listed for 40.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like psychologically that does something to a buy. And to me, it's like, I'll just buy it. Like I'm willing to sit on it for $30. You know what I'm saying? Upload your reseller permit to eBay. You're not paying tax, free shipping. Hell yeah, I'll buy that card for $30. Are you kidding me? Like
this dude,
I don't know,
on
man.
eBay, yeah, this guy has been holding me down for so long with his damn listing for this. I have a Topps Gengar, foil TV series Gengar, from the Top Series 2. It's a TV animation, so the flat foil, silver foil, population like 11, I think, or something. And this dude has it on there for like $350 up on eBay for a PSA 10. I'm not gonna sell my copy for $350. I value that card at like $500 or something, probably. And so like this guy keeps on lowering his listing too, because nobody's buying it. So like until that Gengar is gone off the market, I can't sell my Gengar.
Buy it, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
It's Gengar.
One of these days, I just have to buy it because then I own the market basically of that. I could try. So it's like that with some cards. It is sometimes people aren't aware of things and they just let it sit, and it's a psychological thing. But yeah, I agree with you, PK. I'm never going to be the buyer on a black label, not even a vintage one though. I can't even justify a vintage black label, like nothing.
Yeah, I looked at I almost bought a Japanese base set Raichu in a black label, but I held off, and it was only like a pop 3, and I actually regretted not buying that.
What
at
were
the
they
end of the
asking,
day.
if you don't mind me asking?
I don't remember. It was cheap though. It was like $300-400.
That's actually pretty cheap.
Wow,
Well,
that seems super
that's
cheap.
back
It
in
was
the day,
cheap, and I
though.
just like wasn't watching. I could probably find it on PWCC. It might take some searching, but
This couldn't have been recently, though. Yeah.
no, it wasn't. This is going probably a year or two back.
Yeah, and back in those days, black labels are popping off. Like I feel like it's sort of one of the things that we're seeing the death throes of BGS right now, is what that is. So what happens once they finally die and their black labels are all out there on the market? You think they hold the premium, or they slowly degrade over time?
Honestly, dude, like with BGS is still doing decent, but the thing that like once people realize that you can get away with selling 9.5s of popular cards for slightly under PSA 10 price, like once that shit's blown up, I don't believe the demand for BGS 9.5s is so deep that that's going to continue to happen. But if you look at cards like Celebrations Charizard, English or Japanese, you look at like the 9.5 price, like you're maybe selling it for like 150, 170 versus a PSA 10 would be, you know, like 210 to 250. So you're still making money, and then you have the chance of like potentially hitting a black label, you know. So, and in some cases, the BGS pristine or the gold 10s sell for more than. But once people figure that out, and once a certain amount of people get past the hump of like BGS sucks to send to, I don't think that's gonna last forever, you know. And I think you're gonna have to start taking more risks, sending nicer stuff. I don't think you can continue to send garbage. Like I don't think you can continue to send dollar card to go forever. Right now, absolutely. Like what PK was talking about with the Merrill, he sends that. If I got a black label, card probably would sell for like $200. You know
Probably
what I'm saying?
$300
But
to $400, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's wild. It's wild, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the black label thing is weird. It's just one of those things that I see it as, it's always been there in the hobby. I've always saw it as being a slightly ridiculous aspect of the hobby as well, but it's just something that lately I've seen a lot more of, and so that's why I kind of bring it up, because it's like I personally I recently graded my first black label, so like, and I don't grade a lot with BGS, and I wasn't even expecting a black label on the card. So like at that point, if I'm doing that and I've seen all my friends doing it, and I've seen so many anecdotal like stories on Instagram of all these new black labels, I'm just like, yeah, they're handing these things out like candy now. I think that people need to be punished, though. To your point of 9.5 selling for basically a little under PSA 10 price and still more than what the cost of grading plus the card is, I think that more people in the hobby, it's important for them to get punished when these types of things happen. I do see more auctions ending on Z&G's weekly auction blocks without bids, as well as on PWCC more so. There's the meme of the energy, the 8.5 energy that ended last week without a bid. I don't know if you saw that, PK, but did you
No.
see Z&G, his first ever auction to end without a bid was a energy, an 8.5 CGC energy card. And it had
That's
no
why I got them
bids.
all
And
framed up there.
yeah, and so it was the other week. So and then this week on PWCC, I saw a post, Green Shiz posted on PWCC a PSA 9 Voltorb vending series ended with 0 bids at 99 cents, and nobody wanted that card. And I mean, I get it, it's a
I would have bought
Voltorb.
that for 99 cents.
I
Vending
would have
series.
bought that for
That's
$10. I mean,
yeah. That's I don't
personally,
know, man. That seems kind of that wouldn't be the like a 9.
that's what I'm saying. So, like,
Okay.
what does that say to you about the market? Is that dark time? Is that heralding a dark times to come, or is that just like an anomaly? And it's like, yeah, you go for a long enough time of no auctions ending. Eventually, you're gonna see one slip through the cracks. But I mean, I'm seeing.
I mean, we're getting like the only thing I would say, not to get too big brained about it, but like one, like on the Pokemon side of things, like we're getting hammered with like cool new like stuff is coming out so quickly. Like there's so much product. 151 in Japanese, the Unigaba stuff, Obsidian Flames coming out right afterward. Like there is so much stuff coming out that people could be feeling a little wallet fatigue. And then on like the macro side of things, the Fed paused, but like rates are still high, and like people with adjustable rate mortgages are probably feeling and like a lot of these effects of things with interest rates going up are like going to lag, like employment's still strong and things like that, but um people, like I said, people with adjustable rate mortgages on their cars or their houses, like they're going to be feeling a little bit of pain there. um it's tough to it's tough to know what's really happening, but I think towards the holiday season again, like things will start to work themselves out. There's just a lot coming out right now, you know what I mean? And so quick, back to back to back. Like there really hasn't been, like, dude, to be honest, like Crown Zenith doesn't even seem that long ago, and like here we are already, like what, 2 sets. So it there's just a lot. There's a lot out there right now, and I think and like not only that, but like the prices of a lot of things have gone up so drastically, and I feel like a lot of people might be chasing that because they feel like if I don't buy this card now, I'm never going to be able to get it again. So they're maybe overspending or whatever to try to buy some of these more expensive cards that they thought they had more time on. So I don't know, man, but like overall, like things are still up and to the right. Like my business, like everything has like ebbs and flows or whatever, but like everything is still like up and to the right. So I don't know. Like I'm still positive overall. It just I think people might be feeling a little bit of wallet fatigue just because there's so much to consume right now. But
Yeah, I looked for that Raichu Black Label. I wasn't able to find it, and for whatever PWCC's like search feature was just not really working for me.
It never is very good. I have trouble with the PWCC website. I've actually I'm a little bit, I feel weird saying this out loud, but I've never bought from PWCC just because
Oh, really?
I don't like the way that it's all set up, and I just don't
you're
like them as a company.
sleeping, dude. There's
I
some
know,
there's some
I know.
arbitrage on there. The last thing I will say though about PWCC specifically is like recently, since they laid off all those people, it's taken them so long to fulfill your orders now. It takes like 2 to 3 weeks from your date of payment to get those items shipped out to you, which is kind of
Yeah.
not like it used to be. a day or two, and now it's like literally weeks. Like you'll buy something and then 2 weeks later it'll ship out, which that's kind of nuts. Like that seems a little excessive, but again, like I don't know to what magnitude they laid off people and how that's affected their processes and things like that. But I think that could be deterring people a little bit too, because it's like, dude, you buy your item, especially if you're trying to flip it or something like, but if you buy an item, even if you're just trying to collect it, if you have to wait 3 weeks, like that's kind of nuts, man, to get that fulfilled. Like you could buy shit from Japan or China and get it shipped to you buying on eBay quicker than buying on PW. You know what I'm saying? So I think people might be a little unhappy with the way that that's been going, but that could just be, my opinion.
Yeah, so I think I found the Raichu. I was way off with the price. I'm losing track of stuff. It was a pristine 10 and it sold for like $960. I wasn't even in a ballpark.
Good thing you didn't buy that. It's a good thing you didn't buy that.
Well, I looked, my max bid was 800 though.
Well, you dodged a bullet because I think that
Yeah.
card's probably only like a $500 PSA 10, $600
Yeah.
PSA 10 now, right?
Well, it was a Beckett pristine, but yeah.
Yeah, even so,
And
I'm
as
not
a
one to value
collector-
Beckett's as higher.
Yeah, but listen, you can't win them all.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you didn't win that one. Is the main
Yeah.
point. Yeah, I mean it's crazy what's happening out there, and I am happy to be a part of it though. To be all that being said, I feel like the podcast we need to end on a little bit more of a bullish nature because I am feeling that way about Pokemon. That being said, though, let's be a little bit realistic about the holidays. Pokemon typically dips around the holidays, so it's not the holidays that's going to bring us out of this perdition or raise us up from perdition, as it were. It's more the good nature of what's to come around the holidays and afterwards, because we're going to get set 4. We're going to get more of the reprint. We're going to get all of the English 151. I'm ready. I'm very ready for all of that 151 English product just to be out on the market, just like Crown Zenith was. And I think the market needs that too, so that it can cool off a little bit over what's going on. But dude, the fact that they're getting it this early it's really kind of weird. Like it feels very early for 151 to release compared to like usually it's just like a month, but we don't get ours till September. So that feels really early.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
know
last
why.
thing I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
Like the only thing I would say is, and I don't know if you guys feel this way at all, is like because we're so like tunnel vision focused and so deep in the market and stuff, like I look at what Pokemon is putting out and I'm like, I like these arts, I like these sets, like this is cool stuff. It's tough for me to know what's going on in the broader market and hobby with demand because I'm just looking at the set and like the cool cards that are coming out and thinking like, how could anybody not be excited about what's going on, right? Does that make sense? Versus like, I don't actually know like if the sales volume is up and if people, the broader like hobbyists, but I'm looking at these cards and I'm like, I'm excited to see these cards. They look sick to me. I don't understand how people could be less interested now than like a year and a half. Like to me, the kind of options you have now versus what you had like a year and a half ago, you know what I'm saying? So like it's tough for me to pull myself outside of that and think like what are people actually feeling? Because I am excited about like what they're producing and I'm stoked on what they've been producing, but I don't know if everybody feels that way,
Yeah. I think so for sales volume for 151, it is crazy because you look at how quickly PokemonCenter.com sold out, and then you look at the Best Buys for the UPCs, limit 1 per customer, they sold out pretty quick. But the only like to say it does get tunnel vision, like how can people not like this? We could have the same exact conversation 2 years ago, but instead of saying 151, we are just saying Shining Fates. We could have just replaced the words 100%. You got to keep in mind, Shining Fates ETBs pre-orders confirmed sales of 120 plus. So
I sold them for higher than that, actually.
there you go.
Yeah.
So we could have just replaced. We could have had the same conversation, been like, how are people not gonna like shiny Pokemon? Look at what Hidden Fates is doing. Hidden Fates are $150 a booster box. You can't, or not a booster box, an ETB. You can't even touch them for less than 150. And
they were
hit
actually
a high
300 at the time that Shining Fates came out. Hidden Fates ETBs were $330.
There you go. So we would have been like, look at what this is doing, and then go, look, Shining Fate's got another Charizard in it. We would
Mhm.
be looking at that promo and going, wow, Eevee VMAX. Everybody loves Eevee. Evolutions, come on. Eevee's a huge fan favorite Pokemon. That promo is probably going to do great. Oh, look at the Shining Volts. We would have been going down and been like, oh, look at the Suicune. Everybody's going to love this Pokemon. It's like a legendary dog.
The
And then,
print quality was horrible too, so that means that the tens would have had a higher premium because it was hard to grade the tens. So you could have
yeah,
made that bullish case on the shinies. People were saying that the first run had bad print quality, whereas the subsequent runs had better. All that was Shining Fates, and yeah, to your point,
yeah.
where's it at now?
So I just get nervous because we could have had, and then it would have been like, what does Shining Fates not have going for it, you know? And then we would have been like, I don't know. And everybody was saying like, it's the best set Pokemon's, that it's become a meme though. It's the best set Pokemon ever made. But there were people really did say that. And that would be like my only worry, that you would have it play out similar to Shining Fates. And people will look at Shining Fates now and go, were people really that bullish? And the answer is yes.
Yes, I will tell you, absolutely. And this man down here, he'll agree with us. He loves Shining Fates. Don't let him tell you otherwise. That's one of his favorite sets. I know it. So yeah, and that being said, everyone who's watching, this man right here, PK, has two little ones, and I've kept him for over 2 hours, which I tried to keep it around then. And so, if you are tuning in now and you would like more of these podcasts, you're gonna have to comment down below and say what you want us to talk about in the next one, because we're gonna do another one soon. We're probably gonna have we back on the next one, so you can see tell us what you want us to talk about in that next podcast. But we've got a ton more on the channel, so like, subscribe, go watch some of the old ones, go back and watch the the interview with PK that we did back in the old days. That was back right after the Leonhardt pop-up shop, because that's where we first met. So
Yep.
yeah, it was a pretty cool time. So interesting time in the hobby to listen to the conversations we were having back then versus like what's being had now. Very interesting, I think, to go back and hear some of that stuff. So
Oh,
with that
yeah,
being said,
definitely.
man, is there anything you guys want to kind of wrap up with tonight, just to kind of wind down? I'll let you get back to your family and everything, but
I just want to say thank you to both you guys for having me on. I think I don't think I know. I've watched every single one of your guys' podcasts so far, so I'm a big fan. So, no, I appreciate it. I'm happy to finally be like part of the conversation instead of sometimes, being a fly on the wall just listening. But you guys bring awesome insights, and especially Flex. If Flex is out there watching this, I got utmost respect for him too and what he's doing. And I know Flex or Retro was mentioning, it's like you wish you could kind of talk about what he's doing in the background. And I remember when he graded his Treco Gold Star and it hit the 10, and the trade he ended up doing for that card in Denver, and all the stuff, like the little things he's doing in the background. Like, he's doing some big stuff and he's making some awesome plays. So I got a ton of respect for him too. But I like the way you guys have been able to use your three different personalities. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing, but from the outside looking in the same thing. But when you get into it, you guys are doing your own things. But it's great to hear you guys bounce off each other. I think you guys have really good chemistry. And yeah, all I got to do is say thank you. And I respect both of you guys like to the utmost degree.
likewise, man, I really appreciate you coming on, and I always love watching your stuff. So keep on keeping on, and I'm sure that we'll be having many more of these talks in the
Oh
future.
yeah.
One of these days, we're gonna have to talk about my departure from Whatnot on your channel, because I know that that's something that would be an interesting topic, and it's not something I publicly talked a lot about. So we'll have
Anytime
to,
you're ready, Josh, you're
yeah,
more than welcome,
we'll
man.
have to do that sometime, because I have a lot to say. But yeah, absolutely.
Leave it alone. Nah, man, like for real though, I do appreciate you coming on, and kudos to you for staying consistent, having a new kid and everything. So I appreciate you making time for us, but even on your own channel, like, continuing to pump stuff out and go live and release videos and do all that, with all the added stress and stuff that you have going on, it's appreciated. So thanks for keeping it rocking.
Appreciate that, man.
And for all of you guys watching, thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys on the next one.